Danke vielmals, dass die Schweizer Nationalhymne hier zum Job. The World Championship for professional drone racing teams. We are the Drone Champions League. Good afternoon to you live from 2,000 meters above sea level on a mountain. We are in LAAX in Switzerland, and we are ready with the best drone racing teams in the world, and a thrilling season of round-the-world locations awaits us. Good afternoon to you. As I say, I'm Matt Andrews, and we are live to you on a mountain, ready for drone racing. LAAX, one of the most beautiful resorts you can imagine, very famous for its snow sports, its snowboarding in particular, and we are going to be taking over with the best drone racing teams. This is what it looks like around here. At ground level, it's beautiful and it's serene. But then we are going to go up a bit. As I say, 2,252, if you like your meters to be precise, is where we are. It is sunny, but it is cold. It is high, and it is exciting, and it is where the best drone racing teams in the world are going to kick off their chances of being the world champions at the end of 2019. That's the site that we are live to you from. That is the Galaxy building in the background, and our track, as you can see, in front of it, beside it, and around the back of it. And a big challenge for our pilots, and a challenge that they've never faced before, as it is cold up here, as you can see. Not as cold as you might expect, but the temperature is going to drop as the sun goes down later on over the next 2 and a bit hours of incredible racing that we have for you. 7 professional drone racing teams. 1 wildcard team are going to join them as well. And this is just our first stop for the World Championship of Professional Drone Racing Teams. Let's show you a little bit of what happened last year. And after an incredible season in an Olympic park, a bull ring, the Great Wall of China, around a royal plaza, and around the beautiful Lake Zurich, last time we were here in Switzerland, at the end of that, X-Blades Racing came out as our champions, our world champions for 2018, and are now the 2-time reigning world champions coming into this season. And if you want to see what some 2-time World Championship pilots look like, let me introduce you to the 2-time reigning champions looking to be 3-time X-Blades Racing.
So the thing I love about drone racing is that there's always something more to be gained. I think even if you're the best, there's always someone better than you, and there's always some way that you can push yourself further. So it's kind of a constant evolution. That's kind of the challenge that I enjoy and why I do it so much. Hello, my name is Brett Collis from the United Kingdom and I'm flying for X-Blades Racing.
The first race of the DCL season is always a little bit of gambling because we did prepare new drones and you never know which one is going to be the best. And so we are confident, but you always have to see what the other teams do. So if there's a faster drone, why is it faster? And yeah.
To become good enough to race in DCL and for X-Blades, it's really just a matter of practicing, just lots of practice experience and a passion for the hobby and the sport. So I practice around once a day when I have drones available, but leading up to this event, I'm not sure many of the teams have had much practice due to all of us building last minute and getting the parts in last minute. So everyone's going onto the track, not really used to the quads. So I suspect the speed will get faster and faster through the event. So we've been using the simulator a lot for practice because it gives us an idea of the track they're about to fly, and the physics in the DCL game are pretty good, along with the fact that we have to use a game for qualification. So the game's been a crucial part in practicing, being able to get track layout and work everything out.
I think drone racing, it gives you a completely different perspective on everything. Wherever you are, whether you're walking through the streets or whether you're walking through the forest or wherever you are, you look at things in a different way, in a way that I don't think you would ever consider unless you were a drone pilot. It's like your mind just expands. You see different possibilities in the surroundings around you. So it's definitely something to put some time and some effort into and learn to fly, because the possibilities feel endless. To get our drones ready, we came up with a frame that was designed by Larry, from a guy from Falcon Multi Rotors, and then we decided on a powertrain, the motors and the speed controllers, which we thought were going to meet the regulations specified by DCL, and then from there all the parts arrive at our doorstep. And we had a great build process actually. We had, because we've got quite a big team in X-Blades, so many of the other guys, we all went to Brett's and we built for hours and hours on end. But it was good, it was like a production line, and we were all sitting there talking and chatting, and yeah, it was a tough time, but we got through it. We pulled together as a team, not just the pilots that you see here, but the rest of the team behind the scenes as well, like our sim pilots and others as well. So yeah, it was a grueling, it was a tough process, but we pulled together and we got it done. So yeah, it's good.
We had a good battle with Quad Force 1 last year in the championship. Kind of took it in the last race, but I know they're going to come back harder and kind of faster than they were last year. And I think Veloce, all the Korean pilots are really good. So yeah, both of them are kind of our hottest contenders, I think.
I think our biggest competitor is going to be the South Koreans or the Americans, because both have such good and strong pilots, and yeah, actually this year there's no weak team, so every team has a really strong pilots. It's going to be the toughest season ever, and yeah, we're well prepared. We're looking forward to be first again.
So those are our reigning world champions, X-Blades Racing, and they are looking to defend their two-time world title. As you see the Galaxy building there in LAAX, that's the Zurich Switzerland gate hanging off the side of it, the ITAM gate, the SEAT gate behind that. It is a complicated course that we will fly an intro in, 2 laps, and then an outro heading to our Red Bull crash gate. And it's a very unique format here of the Drone Champions League. 8 incredible teams, 7 of them follow us around the world. 1 of them is always a local wildcard team of pilots that we recruit. But how does it all happen? Let's tell you how the DCL runs. The DCL is the World Championship for professional drone racing teams. There are 7 teams who tour the world with us, but everywhere we go, we also recruit local pilots to form a wildcard team and have a go at racing alongside them. All these teams face each other in quarterfinals, semi-finals, and a grand final at the end of the Drone Prix. And we start off with qualifying. The teams race on our simulator, which is DCL The Game. They put lap times in there, that seeds their teams, and then the teams meet each other in the quarterfinals. The winners of those progress to the semi-finals, and the winners of those to the grand final at the end of the day. And all of the quarters, semis, and the grand final consist of 5 heats. First, we raced single heats, where one pilot from each team will race one of their opposition, and the winner of that picks up a heat point for their team. We do that 4 times for each of the pilots, and then after that, unique to the DCL, it's the big heat. All 8 drones will fly in the air at the same time. The winner of that picks up 1 point for their team, but if a teammate comes in second behind them, they get a bonus point, making 2. And if you can come in first, second, and third, you get 3. And if you can do a clean sweep and wipe out your opposition, you can pick up 4 points in the big heat. Even if you struggle in all of our single heats, the big heat can turn everything around. After that, teams move forward to the next round, and at the end of the Drone Prix, we give them points towards our World Championship season. And then we do it all again, because everywhere we go around the world, we do 2 races, new qualifying based on the results of the day before, new quarterfinals, semis, maybe a new champion at the end of day 2, and then we move on to another location, turning incredible places into real drone racing tracks for the World Championship that is the DCL. I'm not sure who that guy is, but I think he knows what he's talking about. So that's what we do here at the Drone Champions League. Quarterfinals, semi-finals, and a grand final await us. And 5 individual races in each one. So 4 single heats where one pilot races one of the opposition, and then a big heat unique to the DCL. All 8 pilots flying at the same time. It is unbelievable and can turn everything around. So there's a lot to keep an eye on with these incredible pilots and a brilliant race format, and to get it all in order at our sport, that is the professional world of drone racing, we rely on Lucas Baumann, who's our chief judge and is on stage, ready to keep an eye on everything, along with his team of spotters behind the scenes. They'll be reviewing all of the pilots' routes, making sure everybody makes all of the correct gates and all the correct turns, and everything you would associate like that with racing, which is what we are here to do. So thank you to everybody who has joined us here on top of a mountain in LAAX, and also are joining us all over the world on YouTube and Facebook. This course then, on a mountain, the first time DCL has raced in these conditions. Let's show you the track that awaits our pilots.
I'm Alex Campbell. Most of you know me as the Chief. I fly for Quad Force 1, and today I'm going to take you around this beautiful track we have in LAAX, Switzerland. Aggressive launch into our first right-hand corner on the track around the elevated DCL gates. We're going to go into a split S, into the backside of the I-Times gate, into a hard 180 coming through the Seat gate, facing this direction, full throttle to the McDonald's gate. You have a lot of airspace to go through, but you can't go through the middle. This is going to see a lot of gnarly crashes, and a lot of broken parts are going to be here. I can't wait to see it. Hopefully it's not me. We're going to have a full throttle punch to the Breitling gate, right over the top of Europe's longest half pipe. Coming into the backside of the DCL gate on the right side of the half pipe, and in the backside of the DCL gate, big power punch out to the gate on the side of our building. The Red Bull crash gate. This is one of the hardest obstacles on the track. That's going to be it for the track walkthrough and me. Don't forget to come hang out with us. We'll see you at the race.
Thank you, Chief. He wants you to come and hang out with him. All right, Chief, I'll come and find you later. Maybe it'll be on a podium at the end of today. He's racing with Quad Force 1, runners-up in the World Championship last year. There's some good rivalries to look forward to in this season, as well as a lot of new pilots who have joined and some new teams. Here is what awaits us for today's racing. After qualifying, which was actually done in our simulator, DCL the game, which you can download for free right now. It's available through Steam on PC and Mac, and you can race this track as our professional pilots did. That's how they qualified. We took their best lap times in the simulator, added them together for their teams, and got these cumulative times. Quad Force 1, who you just saw Alex Campbell speaking for on our track preview, they get the first pole position of 2019. That means they'll be racing our last place team in qualifying, which was China Dragons. It's going to be quarterfinal number 1 coming up next between Veloce Racing, our new team representing Korea, and DMM Rerun Racing of Japan. Quad Force 1 will take on China Dragons. Apex Racing from Denmark will take on our wildcard pilots who qualified to be here through McDonald's, and then X-Blades Racing, the reigning world champions from the UK. They will race off against our new Russian team, Drone Sports. Those are our quarterfinals ahead of us here. The first team for the 2019 season here at the Drone Champions League. We welcome Veloce Racing. There's their manager, HJ, on stage. And as you can see, here's the first of our drama here in the Drone Champions League. You might wonder why there's just 2 pilots. Well, let's see who's coming to join them. We welcome to the stage, DMM Rerun Racing. And again, it's just 2 pilots, so let's explain what's happened here, because our teams are all in groups of 4. They can have more pilots than that on their rosters, but every race, they turn up with 4 pilots. That's what DMM Rerun Racing did. That's what Veloce Racing did, but some of the drones of these 2 teams were found to be bigger than the regulation size, and as such, and it actually came down to a very small detail to do with the motors, and as such, each team, 2 of their pilots are ineligible to fly today. At the DCL, we go to all of these incredible locations around the world and turn them into amazing drone racing tracks, and we will be live again tomorrow with another set of racing here on top of a mountain in LAAX. New qualifying, new races, maybe a new winner at the end of the day. So we may see the other pilots of DMM Rerun Racing and Veloce Racing racing with us tomorrow. I can tell you now that people are driving cars that I am sure within the speed limit to pick up components from wherever they can and get some more quads built that are within regulations, because having less than 4 pilots obviously seriously damages your chances of scoring. Our first single heat between these 2 teams was going to feature 2 pilots who are not racing today. So we're going to skip over that one and head to the second single heat. And we bring you, for the first time at DCL, 2 incredible pilots to fly this out. We're looking forward to see Tonfunico Koyama of Rerun Racing taking on Junyong Ho of Veloce Racing. So it's Japan against Korea in our first single heat live to you from LAAX. Junyong He's view. That is what he's going to be flying with, everybody. This is FPV racing, first person view racing. The pilots are on stage wearing goggles, and they're going to see what their drone sees via a camera installed on the drone. There's actually 2. One of them's recording it for later. The other one is what they are looking through live. We will show you that view from the pilots as we race. You'll see it is not an easy thing to watch or fly with. Tonfunico Koyama on stage there. He's from Tokyo. Veloce Racing's Junyong Ho. We know him as Rappy. If you follow him in the drone racing community, he's known as Rappy. He said it's because he's in a hurry and doesn't feel calm when he's flying. This is his first time on a world championship stage, so we'll see what he can deal with the pressure there. There's his view as his drone is put onto its starting block by our incredible team of local helpers. Thanks to them. And that is our starting grid. We're checking that that is ready to fly. That little signal there is signaling that we want the props to spin up and make sure that that is good to go. There's a drone racing controller in the hands of Tonfunico Koyama. 2 years he's been flying, but this is his first time he's actually raced with us here in the DCL. There is our starting grid. Remember, in our single heats, it's 1 versus 1. DMM Raiden Racing's Tomohiko Koyama's view. That's what it looks like if you are standing in a position you should not be standing in. That camera's okay. But those drones are about to come at you at up to 140 kilometers an hour. It is DMM Raiden Racing with the yellow colors on the left of your picture. Veloce Racing on the right. Okay, so we go racing for our first race of the season. It is Hell against Koyama out in the sky over LAAX, and the purple drones of Veloce Racing take the lead through the McDonald's gate, and Hell heads down and shows us our first live view of the longest half pipe in Europe. He takes the DCL closed air gate and heads left. Koyama some way behind him as they head up now out of the gate. That's Koyama's drone, but we're on board with Tong Yong Hoyo as he starts his second lap. He's completed his first one in a time of 23.74, and Koyama is 2.76 seconds behind him. Jun Yong Ho heads down through the Breitling gate, comes over the Europe's longest half pipe. You'll get used to that. And Koyama is still 3 seconds behind him. Hill's purple drone through the Zurich, Switzerland gate and comes around to finish his second lap. He'll go around the back of those 3 pylons over the audience, through the I-Time gate, and then heads to the finish. That is the Red Bull crash gate. That's the finish line of the DCL. We'll go back with Tomohiko Koyama as he makes the finish as well. That is 1 heat point for Ho and Veloce Racing, but Koyama will also pick up a finisher point. That comes in importantly later if we have a tie between the teams. But the first point for 2019 of the DCL goes to the Koreans and Jung Yong Ho. There's some of the beautiful sights. A little bit of a twitch there, making it to the Zurich, Switzerland. I think he's checking with his teammates. Did I get him? Our pilots can only see forwards. So you have no idea if your opponent is alongside you, close behind you, about to pass you, anything like that. It is a big challenge for the pilots. But congratulations to Jun Yong Ho for getting the first heat point for his team, as you can see at the top there. That takes Veloce Racing 1-0 up. Now it gets a little bit more straightforward in single heats, because I mentioned that some pilots are not eligible to fly today due to their drones being outside of regulations. So Ben Mortensen was going to be racing against Yongmin Ho, but Ben Mortensen is not flying today for DMM Raiden Racing. He's been disqualified, which means that is an automatic second point for Veloce Racing. But they get one back, because in single heat 4, Rudy Browning, a new pilot for DMM Raiden Racing, was meant to be flying against Mincham Kim in his first appearance for 2019 in the DCL, but Mincham Kim cannot fly for Veloce Racing due to being disqualified. What that means is that each team are going to be automatically gifted a heat point, as Veloce Racing we're going to race in one, and DMM Raiden Racing we're going to race in the other. So, single heats, been a lot more straightforward than normal. So our pilots now ready on our stage. So we are going to the big heat. As you can see the score at the top, 1-0 to Veloce Racing. Basically 2-1 based on the single heats that haven't needed to be flown. But it's all important right now. Veloce Racing are 1 point ahead of DMM Raiden Racing in its big heat time. Win this, you get a point for your team. But if a teammate comes in second with you, so you can see our starting blocks. There's our starting blocks. DMM Raiden Racing's yellow drones on the left-hand side of it. Veloce Racing's purple drones on the right-hand side of it. As you can see, we have 4 on each side. The fastest pilots in qualifying start at the back of the pack in the DCL. So furthest from us in the middle of that V will be the fastest pilots in qualifying. As you can see, there's a yellow one at the back. That is Rudy Browning for DMM Raiden Racing. Fastest in qualifying for his team. We go to the air with 2 from each team. And those four into the air, and it is wild, and it is crazily flying around all over the place. But DMM Raiden Racing look like they have the lead after the first section and head down through the Brightening Gate. Hop has the lead now over Brightening, but it's only 16 hundredths of a second between them. So it is Veloce Racing getting a second point if this carries on the way it is. Koyama is down. That is disaster for DMM Raiden Racing as they needed 2 pilots to finish this in first and second, but only one of their pilots is still in the air. That's Rudy Browning's view as he circles around and takes the Brightening Gate with Veloce Racing's drones hovering all around him. The DCL closed air gate is his. It still looks like it's Ho up in the lead for Veloce, and Browning carrying on behind him. But Veloce Racing already in the lead of this after the single heats. They needed 2 points for DMM Raiden Racing. They're not going to get them. Veloce Racing are already home. We've got drones bouncing off of our crash gate. You can see there's a purple one there trying to make its way in. In it goes. That yellow one on the floor, unless that flew into the crash gate and bounced back out again, that won't count. You have to get into the Red Bull crash gate to count. Looks like our pilots under a lot of pressure there. HJ, the owner and manager of Veloce Racing, congratulating his young pilots, getting them into the semi-finals. But you can see the pressure was already pretty significant on them. There's Rudy Browning looking happy.
Hey guys, good race. It was good race. Thank you. Good race.
There will be the man MVP.
Matt. Junior, can you go now, please?
You can leave it here.
So I'm here with HJ and his incredible teammate from Veloce Racing, who are through to the semi-finals. Congratulations. I must ask you, first race with us in the DCL, how's he feeling right now?
첫 번째 드론 레이스 챔피언십 왔는데 어떤 느낌이 어때요?
손에 쥐나고 떨려요.
He has a knob in the hand because it's too stressed, shaking hand.
I could see from you on stage, there was a lot of pressure, there was a lot of this, there was a lot of looking like it meant a lot to you, but it felt very dramatic. You're here in front of a live audience, it's a world championship. It's a big deal, right?
Yeah. 여기 처음에 와가지고 경기를 할 때 1등으로 들어왔는데 그 어떻게 느낌이 어떻게 했어?
네? 느낌이요? 최선을 다해서 1등으로 들어갈 수 있는 것 같아서 좋았어요.
He loves that he can finish the first place and he managed to making the team winning. He's very happy with that.
HJ, your team, we haven't had a Korean team racing before here, so Veloce Racing through to the semi-finals must mean a lot to you as well.
Sorry.
This must mean a lot to you as well, your first appearance as a team. Well, I know you've got Young Rock Sun on board, who we've raced with before, but yourself, it's your team, you're here now. How do you feel about your chances for the season?
Firstly, I would like to thank you for the CoreCam and the Veloce Esports for support our teams. As also, thank you for DCL to give a big chance to join this great DCL. Thank you, guys.
Congratulations to Veloce Racing, our first semi-finalists of the year. All right, we go to quarterfinal number 2. We welcome our American team, Quad Force 1. Now, we know some of these pilots extremely well from last year. But they do have a new member racing with them today. Alex Campbell there on the right of your picture, Evan Turner alongside him. Their opposition, a team that we've had in previous seasons as well. We welcome the China Dragons. China Dragons against Quad Force 1 in quarterfinal number 2. There's Corey Ibanez, who is rejoining them. We saw him race a couple of times for the American team last season. And their new teammate for racing here is Soren Monroe Anderson, who's completing their lineup. China Dragons faces with Ronnie Chow, Haihong Xia, Dennis Hochman, and Daniel Ayer. Now, earlier on this year, we had our first ever DCL draft where gamers got a chance to become real-life professional drone racers, and that man on your screen was #1 worldwide. You can play our simulator. He's smiling because he knows I'm talking about him. Yes, I got you, Dan. So yes, DCL the game is free to play on Steam, on PC and Mac. You can download that for free now before its full release later on this year. And we had a tournament running online where pilots had to race on 4 tracks and clock up their best cumulative time. The top 200 pilots were invited to join us in Cannes at the Cannes International Games Festival, where we held an esports tournament. And then our 7 professional drone racing teams got a pick from these gamers to choose some of them for their teams. And Daniel FPV there, Daniel Ayer, was #1 worldwide before the draft and was the first pick. And it was China Dragons who took him. He's getting ready for his first professional real-life drone race with the DCL. And if you want to learn our tracks, you should download DCL the game, because all of our tracks that we race in around the world are there. You too can race in LAAX, and qualifying today was based from these professional pilots' performance in our simulator. So if you want to know how you would have fared against them, download the game, put LAAX on, see if you can get a qualifying time that would have got you maybe one of these seats. On the left of picture, that is China Dragons. On the right, Quad Force 1. And we will get them ready for flying. And as you know from our first quarterfinal, we had a few pre-race disqualifications for some of our pilots due to their drones not fitting within regulated size. No such problems here for Quad Force 1 and Ronnie Chow. Corey Ibanez did have a bit of a problem in qualifying. He couldn't take part in it because he was busy doing his homework. That's underselling it, to be honest with you. He was writing a thesis. But the rest of his team managed to get Quad Force 1 into pole position and #1 in qualifying. China Dragons, they came out 8th in qualifying, and that's why these two teams are racing off together now. Ronnie Chow will start things off for China Dragons. We had him featuring with us last season. He's been flying for 3 years. Took part in a couple of the races in our 2018 season. If you're impressed with him, Ronnie Chow says he is single and ready to mingle. That's what he actually told me. I'm not making this stuff up. Let's see if he impresses. It's Ronnie Chow going to be taking on Corey Ibanez from Quad Force 1, who's a pilot we saw a couple of times last year. Very exciting races with him, a very passionate racer. Meow FPV is how you might know him in the drone racing world. He's managed to write a thesis not so long ago. I'll read it to you if we don't get racing. That's not going to happen. I mean the reading, not the racing. Okay, so we have a bit of a technical issue here with Ronnie Chow. Turns out our pilot's so keen to get racing in the first one of this year. They're in the wrong seats. Still going to get them all moved around.
Okay, we're going to arm you again. 1, 2, 7, 8, okay? 1, 2, 7, 8. Ready, arm check. I don't have video. Yeah, no video. Hang on.
All right, still going to be, as Chief Judge Lucas Bauman is getting everybody organized. I'm pretty sure it should be Quad Force 1 on the left of the stage and China Dragons on the right of the stage, but that's okay. So welcome to everybody joining us here in LAAX, also on YouTube and Facebook. Good afternoon to all of you, or whatever time it is in the world. It is just gone 4:30 here on a mountain 2,000 meters above sea level. NERC FPV, thank you for watching. Yes, I appreciate the appreciation of the save. Dan is a beast on all the sims, said Matthew Evans. Yes, he is pretty good like that, which is why he managed to be first pick in our draft. China Dragon snapped him up. So look at this. Somebody who was previously a gamer and a sim pilot proving himself in a live draft. Getting it done, getting picked by a professional drone racing team. Now he's got to show us that he can fly for real. We know he's good. Can he do it on this stage when it's not just you gaming? I'm going to find out real soon. There's Corey Ibanez's view as he prepares to fly in the dark blue of Quad Force 1. And this year we have a few changes to our drones compared to last year. They are slightly bigger. They also all have these new canopies that the teams can style. Take a look at the stars and stripes. Look at them. The orange ones will be racing for China Dragons, and the stars and stripes. But what else could it possibly be for the all-American, all-loud Quad Force 1? I've got a feeling those drones are on the wrong starting blocks, though. I think we are just confirming that now. Of course, this is all done with live transmission from the drones to the pilots. So you see the view of the cameras on the drones through those FPV goggles that Ronnie's holding there. Everything has to be done, you know, with frequencies and live transmission on a mountain, let me remind you. And yes, I think we're getting a bit of a rearrangement here now to make sure that everybody is on the right frequencies, on the right sides, etc., etc., etc. Ronnie Chow still out of his seat, that's fine. You don't have to sit down and race. Some pilots prefer to stand, some pilots prefer to sit. Some pilots are pinchers, some pilots are thumbs. That's whether you hold the controller's sticks either with your finger and thumb, squeezing them together like a tiny little joystick that it is, or whether you put a thumb on top. And that is significant because every pilot likes to feel at home with their racing. But we are in the cold here. It is about -2 degrees right now, and as you can imagine, it's a little bit chilly. They're going to need gloves on, some of them, but then that affects their sensitivity. Some of them prefer to fly with gloves, some of them don't. We've got a bit of a delay here as our pilots, I think, have all sat in the wrong places and moved things into the wrong spots. As Ronnie Chow getting switched out, we'll work him out. A great audience joining us here for a nice afternoon of watching drone racing, because the skiing and snowboarding, I think, is coming to a close very soon. Hello, guys. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us here. All right, we'll get our pilots rearranged. Don't disappear. Quarterfinal 2 will be upon us in a moment.
Also, es geht noch einen kleinen Moment. Da gibt es noch letzte Einstellungen, die die Drohnen haben müssen. Aber ihr seht sie auf dem Startblock. Wirklich, es lohnt sich, da mal ganz nah herzukommen in die Start-Area. Weil ihr seht, dass es wirklich
Ibanez against Chow in our first race then of quarterfinal number 2. And it is neck and neck out through the SEAT gate. Chow gets Ibanez, passing him over the top in the dark blue drone for Quad Force 1. Through the DCL gate, they fly into Breitling gate, and there is very little in this between them. But that is a mistake there. And down on the exit of the half pipe goes Ronnie Chow, leaving Corey Ibanez to fly out. He's out on his second lap. He'll come through the I-time gate. He can carry on. He's going to get a bit more stick time rather than parking that in. Oh no, he's coming in. Decided not to get the second lap. He could have got a bit more air time if he'd wanted, but the race was already his. So he completes that. Ronnie Chow is down, which means a heat point and a finisher point for Corey Ibanez in Quad Force 1, and Ronnie Chow leaves there empty-handed. We're on board with Corey Ibanez. You can see how close they were. I-time gate, not a problem, but over on the half pipe, Ronnie Chow's on board here. He's going to hit this, and that wipes him out instantly. Doesn't even bounce off of it and have a chance to recover. Down, dead, maybe fixable, maybe not too damaged. Maybe just the battery out of that, but that one's done. That's single heat 1, single heat 2. Features Soren Anderson in his first race at the DCL against Hai Hong Shah, who's the manager of China Dragons. And Hai Hong Shah is away through the McDonald's gate, down towards the Breitling gate. They're a little bit low, had to kind of pick it up a bit to keep it in the air, and Anderson is only 1/10 of a second behind him. On board with him as he attempts to pass Hai Hong Shah. I think he's got him there to Zurich, Switzerland gate, not trouble. And around the pylons at the start of the second lap, he'll fly now. Drop it down through I-time, come back through SEAT and head out back towards the half pipe and passed again. On board now with Soren Anderson, who's taken the lead towards the Breitling gates. And a big crash into it. Shah is down. Monroe Anderson is leisurely flying towards the Zurich, Switzerland gate. Gonna complete this bit. This is much more relaxed, isn't it, after the speed we're flying at right now. Wants to make sure he gets it home, because that's how you collect the finisher point, which you do need for your teams in the event of a tie. He nails that, and 2-0 go the Americans.
Let's go. Good job,
You can hear him on stage. Let's go. You will hear him. The Americans have a thing or two to say. Soren Anderson's view there of, I think, Hai Hong Shah getting very close to the middle of that gate, but the Breitling gate wiped him out. Confirmation there, Soren Anderson's heat point in a time of 56.87 seconds. And then the +1 FP, that's the finish point that I mentioned. If these teams are tied, whichever team picked up the most finisher points will go through the next round, and those are based not just on the racing now, but on qualifying earlier on. Next to fly, it's the chief, Alex Campbell of Quad Force 1, and he has Dennis Hochman against him in his first flight for DCL. Dennis from Germany, ready to fly. Been flying for about 2 years. Got started due to YouTube videos, so thank you to everybody who's joining us on our channel. We're on YouTube and Facebook /Drone Champions League. You can also find us on Instagram /Drone Champions League, and we're on Twitter at Drone Champions L, because they run out of letters on Twitter. Dennis, 3rd in the German Nationals, 6th in the WDC of Istanbul last year. Chief, we know well. He's clocked up a number of wins. He's clocked up some very big moments during the DCL. Focused, as he always is. His drone on its starting blocks. And Quad Force 1 had an amazing season last year. But they came second after it, and they wanted to win the whole thing, and they are here with a lot of confidence, as they always have been, and they are very confident that they're going to win this year. So much so that there are bets going on, but I will talk about that later on. We're going to try and get Alex Campbell and Dennis Hochman to the air. So let's have a look while we're getting ready for this flight. I see in YouTube we are keen to try and put the pilots off. If people want to have a chance to try and talk to them during racing, I guess. Can you get them crack on stage? Well.
Pilot 3 and 6, ready?
Yeah. Let me ask.
I don't know. How about we get a race now? We go to the air. Alex Campbell against Dennis Hodgman. And it is Campbell with the better of the starts, 0.21 of a second and away past all the pilots through the I-time gate. And Hodgman now 3/4 of a second behind him. Campbell will take the lead towards the half pipe and the Breitling gate. Where did he go? Now that is a protest flag being confidently hoisted into the air by Alex Campbell, and Dennis Hodgman continues to fly as he should. What we're going to see here is that Campbell is down and he would like to complain and ask for a rerun of this race. What Hodgman needs to do really is see that out, so if the rerun isn't granted, the point will be his. Now we'll have to investigate why he's raised the protest flag.
I literally got plugged in on.
Let's see, we're on board with Alex Campbell. I suspect he's going to get a video issue. A little bit of a break up there, as you can see, pictures all going wrong. And that's ended up in a side netting. So protest flag being handed to him by his teammates. They knew he wanted it. Now that's going to get reviewed to see if the problem is drone or trackside. If it's to do with the drone, then he won't get a rerun. If it's to do with a technical issue trackside on a mountain, I'm going to keep saying that, probably in the same way. If it's trackside, then a rerun will be granted. But right now, that's going to have to get investigated. As you can see there, Dwayne, who's running Quad Force 1, is lodging the official protest. Yes, thank you, right, Dwayne? He's lodging it with Lucas Baumann, so then that's going to get officially investigated. I think it's an issue with the goggles. Video feed to that went completely wrong. We'll find out whether that's drone-related and whether that man, Alex Campbell, gets another race, or whether Dennis Hodgman has pulled back a point for China Dragons.
Like after the other races. Oh, okay. So we have time to like. I just thought the quads are full.
They picked it up.
I think I turned it around.
It was still on. You did.
I think I turned it around.
You had no momentum, but you were high. Yes, you were in the McDonald's. You might have played.
So that race will get reviewed. I suspect we will bring you single heat number 4 while that race is being looked at by our judges. We'll go to our stage with Lucas Baumann, who's going to confirm, I think, the protest.
We have a protest from Team Quad Force 1, pilot number 3, for video issues. A rerun will be granted after the big heat if it can change the overall result.
So you have confirmation. Thank you, Lucas. That's been looked at. It's been deemed as not drone-related, which means he will get a rerun. But as Lucas said, only if it's going to change the outcome. So currently, his team are 2-0 up after that. Point for China Dragons will not stand. So Quad Force 1, 2-0 up after our first 2 single heats. We will fly into 4th single heat now, I think, and then the big heat. And if that point between Alex Campbell and Dennis Hodgman becomes something that could change the overall outcome, then that race will get rerun. Final single heat between these two teams is Evan Turner against Daniel Ayer. So Evan Turner, who we saw so many times last year, he's been racing for 3 years. He's 16 years old, a brilliant pilot. Clocked up so many heat points for the American team last season. And Daniel Ayer making a name for himself now. Not only the best gamer on our simulator worldwide, but the first of all of the gamers through the DCL draft to actually race for real in the DCL. It's not his first time racing, of course, but it is his first time in the World Championship for drone racing teams. So what's he got? I know he's getting a lot of support from people who are watching online. Keep it coming. Let us know who you think is going to be a prediction for who's going to get it together at the end, which team might win this. And can we get a point for the gamers? Let's find out. Evan Turner, Daniel Ayer. To the sky. Turner with the slightly of the better starts as he pulls away now and heads through the I-time gate and is not hanging around. Evan Turner has got the lead now. Daniel Ayer some way behind him. Turner through into the Breitling gate hard. Cameras still together. Drone still available, but you are not going to turtle mode it out of there, which means Daniel Ayer is going to pick up the first heat point for China Dragons and himself for this season, but not in the way any of our pilots really want to. A point counts, sure, but you want to beat your opponent. Evan Turner, however, has given that one to China Dragons. That's a disappointing start for them. So the situation we have now, 2-1 as it stands with a single heat to be rerun after the big heat if we need to. What does that mean? If Quad Force 1 win this big heat, they'll go to the semi-finals as the 1 point available from the single heat rerun can't change anything, and you see Evan Turner's crash. If China Dragons win the big heat, maths, everybody, will do some counting. Remember, in a big heat, you get 1 point for winning it. You get 2 points if your team are first and second consecutively. 3 if you come in 1, 2, and 3, and all 4 if you clean sweep your opposition. A lot of points available. Depending on what happens in this big heat, we'll see whether we get a rerun between Alex Campbell and Daniel Hochman. With us so far? Hope so. There's a lot more of this to come. All right, so Quad Force 1, get ready. China Dragons, get ready. So I see people discussing this and trying to work out how it works. The single heat, number 3, between that man, Alex Campbell, and Daniel Hochman will be rerun if the point that can be won from it can change the overall outcome. So it's 2-1 in Quad Force 1. I'll give you an example. Quad Force 1, if they win this big heat where they don't come in seconds, they'll get 1 point for the win. That'll make them 3-1 up. We won't run the big heat, the rerun of the single heat, because there's only 1 point available and that can't change the decision. If China Dragons win this, but they don't come in second, China Dragons will get 1 point. That'll make the score 2-all, and that rerun of a single heat will change everything. The winner of that will take their team to the semi-finals. So on our stage there, Corey Ibanez standing up. Quad Force 1 ready to fly. Not all of the drones ready to fly, though. As you can see, our team getting them ready on the starting blocks. There's our brand new canopies that all of our teams have a little bit of a variation of this season. As you know, teams are coloring those up and adding their stars and stripes. That's a vinyl job by the owner of the team. A lot of work there. China Dragons, orange and ready to go. They can't change them with much aerodynamics, but there are teams experimenting with the things we can let them do. Not everybody has to race the same drone. We have regulations of minimum sizes, minimum weights, maximum weights, that kind of thing. If you're familiar with the DCL, it's pretty much the same as it's been in previous years. Little changes. Our drones for this year are somewhat bigger. Now they all have canopies as well, and that is interesting because it's leading some teams to experiment with a little bit of aerodynamics, trying to stop air coming into the canopy in different ways, seeing if that affects aerodynamics, trying to stop it when they're on the downhill section of our course and they're heading down over the half-pipe, for example. That's got interesting aerodynamics that our pilots have to deal with here. Okay. Our pilots soon fly in the big heat. Evan Turner standing up. Alex Campbell sitting down. Ronnie Chow, Hai Hong Shah Dennis Hodgman, Daniel Ayer, their opposition for the China Dragons. And this is only our second quarterfinal. Coming up next in quarterfinal number 3, Apex Racing against our wildcard team. Our wildcard team who qualified for this via racing our simulator DCL the game. They qualified for this in McDonald's restaurants in the local area throughout Switzerland. By racing our game and qualifying in the restaurants on our simulator, they clocked up times, and we invited the best 8 of the pilots who entered through McDonald's in Switzerland. We've brought them here, and earlier on today, we had a race-off between those 8 pilots. The best 4 are going to be racing in the next quarterfinal for real. Everywhere we go, we take our 7 professional, world-class, World Championship racing teams, but we also recruit a local team of wildcard pilots. And here in Switzerland, that was done with our partners McDonald's. So we'll see what they can do in a real-life race next. Some of them you've seen before. Remember, they are local pilots from Switzerland. In last season, we had a lot of excitement with the Swiss Black Kites team. I'll say no more than that, but I think you may get an idea of who you might be expecting to see in the next quarterfinal if you know us well. So where's our money on today? China Dragons making a bit of an upset. Quad Force 1 stampeding their way towards another final. They've only ever won one grand final in the whole of 2018. China Dragons, unfortunately, they never got close to that. They had a difficult season, China Dragons. You can hear on stage Chief talking about how cold his hands are, and his team's telling him to get ready for this. So the best performance for China Dragons last season was that they made it to a semi-final once, in which they lost, and so they came 4th on that day. Otherwise, a really difficult season for them, going out of every other quarterfinal that they took part in. So this is their chance right here for a big result for China Dragons to make it to a semi-final and to knock out the amazing American Quad Force 1 team, runners-up in the World Championship, to do so. Here we go. For Quad Force 1 and China Dragons. China Dragons in the air, and it is Ronnie Chow who's got the lead over Quad Force 1 as they come out, and now Quad Force 1 taking from him. That looks like Soren Monroe-Anderson coming down towards the Breitling Gate, but getting lost on the way. China Dragons have hit that. Chow, their leader, has hit the Breitling Gate and is in trouble there. He looks like he's done. Anderson may still be in this. It looks like it's all American and all dark blue up front. Anderson definitely still in this. You can see we're on board with him. He's got a teammate in front. It is Evan Turner, nearly half a second behind him. But Dan Ayer is leading the way for the China Dragons in 3rd. Towards the Breitling Gate in the middle of lap 2, and Dan Ayer has passed Anderson. Comes up, is chasing down Turner. Turner still's got the lead. Dan Ayer takes the lead from him. Comes through the Zurich Switzerland gate, and he is all on his own as he goes around the pylons. Drops it down through the I-Time gate, and will take China Dragons for their heat point in this. Because Quad Force 1 are coming in behind him, that is 1 point for China Dragons. That is 2-all for this series. We will get a rerun of your single heat, Alex Campbell, and you have to win it for the Americans to make the semi-finals. They're going to check on stage what that means. You can see Alex Campbell absolutely wanting to clear up in his mind what's going to happen right now if that race result stands. Dan Ayer gets the 2nd point for China Dragons, which they needed. Let's watch that again. You'll see the action here. Daniel Ayer competing around Turner. Turner's got the lead here. He's in between him. Anderson passes him. We're on board now with him, as you'll see. He goes underneath. Will get overtaken again. Zurich Switzerland gate is his now. He'll come around this, though. This is when he had the race all by himself. Drop it down through the I-Time gate. That is a win for China Dragons, and a big slam into the Red Bull crash gate. Knocked out his video picture, but he got it home. Did not hang around, and the delight on his face, as you could see. I'm not sure he can quite believe it, that yes, you were first home, and you keep China Dragons in the fight. It is 2-all with a single heat rerun that now really matters. The winner of this will pick up 1 heat point for their team. The winner of this will take their teammate to the semi-finals. So the rerun of that single heat will happen in a little while after quarterfinal number 3. Let's bring you quarterfinal 3. We welcome to the stage Apex Racing! Oh, we got a huddler. I like teams that huddle. That's the first time we've seen them on a stage. Here are their opponents. Welcome to the stage, the McDonald's Wildcard team. So as I explained earlier on, we invited people in Switzerland to compete on DCL the game in McDonald's restaurants all over Switzerland. They clocked up times, they entered our competition. We brought the 8 best gamers from McDonald's restaurants to here in LAAX, and earlier on today, those 8 gamers raced it out. Now 4 of them remain. They will be competing in today's championship against Apex Racing from Denmark. So we welcome both teams, and we'll go into single heat number 1, and that will be our first time this season to see a very famous pilot from the DCL, Timothy Trowbridge, who is now racing for Apex Racing. There he is. Last year raced with Next Blaze and helped them become the world champion team. This year he's with our new squad of Apex Racing. Temple Claws, of course, is how you might know him in the drone racing world. His opponent, a pilot we haven't seen for a while. For the McDonald's Wildcard team, the first pilot we're going to see is Yannick Glauser, Downwind FPV, who raced previously in DCL. Not as often as we have seen his opponent, Timothy Trowbridge. That's how quarterfinal number 3 is going to begin. Timothy Trowbridge against Yannick Glauser. Apex Racing, one of our new teams in the World Championship. McDonald's Wildcard team will only be competing here in LAAX, every one of our locations. We recruit a different new wildcard team, giving local drone racers the chance to feel what it's like to compete in a world championship, and indeed maybe even get spotted and picked up by a team as Ben Mortensen did, who we haven't seen earlier on today after his drone was unfortunately disqualified pre-race. But he is with DMM Rerun Racing, may well be racing tomorrow, and he raced in the final race of last year's season on the wildcard team, Team FPVR. Impressed, got picked up. Here's Yannick Lauser and Timothy Trowbridge, two really experienced pilots, both been flying for many years. Timothy knows a bit about Switzerland as well. He lives here. Dual nationality, I think. So here we go. Apex Racing against the McDonald's wildcard team. And into the Breitling gate. Hard, as you saw. Seems to be Timothy Trowbridge, but he may still be in the air. Yannick Lauser comes here through the Zurich, Switzerland gate. Comes around the pylons on the start of lap 2. Eye time, not a problem for him, and the stay-out gate is clean as well. He continues with the green McDonald's colours down towards the Breitling gate, but is some way behind this man, or is he? Timothy Trowbridge here, making his way back out of the halfpipe, heading up. Into the crash gate is Yannick Klauser, and Timothy Trowbridge was indeed behind him. 4 seconds behind him at the end there. And Timothy Trowbridge looking very frustrated with himself, as you might expect from such an experienced pilot. Some way down, had the lead for some of that, but this man, Yannick Lauser, beat him by over 4 seconds. I think Timothy may have thought he had the lead, not realizing that Yannick was so far ahead instead of so far behind.
Pilots 2 and 7, ready here.
Here on our stage, our next pilots get ready. That is Thomas Raffen Larsen, and he's going to take on Moritz Verfel. Thomas's view. And he launches. We're on board with him in a time of 0.31, his reaction time. Away he goes, and he has the lead over Verfeli, who's the green drone in 1.3, but hovering all around him, was very close to him, and went high up through the gate. Raffen Larsen still has the lead. Verfeli with some work to do now. He goes wide and far away down the half-pipe, and is down onto the snow. Raffen Larsen has this to himself. He's told that he can fly straight to the crash gate, so he will pick up a point for Apex Racing. He's going to complete that lap, make his way through the eye time gate, get a little bit more stick time. In fact, he's going to carry on. He is entitled to finish this lap if he wants it. He was given clear instruction that he can, but I think he wanted to practice the McDonald's approach, and will bring his drone to the Red Bull crash gate there for a finisher point. Decided he didn't need the extra stick time. He's got that point in the bag as well. Thomas Raffen Larsen leads the scoring. We're on board with him here to the McDonald's gate. Ooh, that's a mess, but I think we're going to see a lot more of Switzerland. Oh, Morris's picture is gone. His drone continued for quite some way, but not his video picture. That came out of the sky and gave a point to Thomas and Apex Racing. So we make it 1-1, and single heat number 3 will come to us next. Michael Isler, Swift FPV, qualified for the McDonald's wildcard team through our McDonald's restaurants competition. We welcome him back. He's raced in the DCL before. Dane Grace is his opponent for the Apex Racing team, who are permanently in the DCL, but he hasn't raced for the DCL before. So we welcome Dane from Copenhagen, been racing for 2 years. Multiple tournaments he's taken part in, won many things, raced all over the place. Very famous, very successful drone racing pilot, taking his spot here for Apex. Knows his co-pilots, led production of the frames. Kind of chief designer, can we call him that? He was the Danish champion in 2016 and 2017, and he was the top qualifier in 2018, but he didn't win it, because one of his teammates did. We'll get to him. So Dane Grace and Michael Isler, single heat number 3. Ten-second countdown. McDonald's in green, left of picture. Apex Racing on the right. And a split time show that Isler gets the lead, but Grace is right alongside him, as you see. Pushing through to McDonald's gate. There may have been one on each side. The Breitling gate, not a problem, and both drones head their way back through the corkscrew, through the half pipe, and head with Isler having the lead now as they come up to the start of lap number 2. 22.29. He got Grace 1.5 seconds behind Isler now. Isler gets through nice and clean. Grace, though, carrying it on. He was a bit twitchy there, but the Breitling gate is a bit difficult. Isler has the lead here. Grace a second behind him. Isler continuing now, raising it up, gaining a lot more altitude through the Zurich Switzerland gate, and will come towards the pylons. Isler's got this. Grace, where are you? He's still in the air. A finisher point could be his. He wants to make sure he secures it. So he's bringing it now, as you can see, a lot slower. Making sure he completes this. Wants to make sure he guarantees that finisher point for his team. And he does. A good showing by Dane Grace, but beaten by Michael Isler, the McDonald's wildcard team, and putting them 2-1 into the lead. Here's Grace's view, a very tight angle through the Breitling gate, and he's got Isler in his picture to worry about as well. That time at the Breitling gate, yeah, that's a problem, but he managed to get it back up into the air. Of course you can do that if you can carry on flying. And we have a thing called turtle mode where you can flip your drone if it crashes upside down. That, however, in the snow, a drone upside down trying to recover itself, that is a lot less likely than pretty much every location we've ever been in. As you can see, he came in nearly 20 seconds behind Michael Isler, but the important thing, picked up a finisher point. Single heat number 4 features another pilot famous in the DCL, Raphael Stroll, who took part for the Swiss Black Kites last year. Marcel Greger is his opponent for Apex Racing. Marcel Greger sees Stroll beat him out of the blocks and has to chase him now around the pylons and through the first gate. Stroll's got the lead here, and away goes Greger, passes him with incredible speed. To the Breitling gate, he flies. And now Stroll has got some work to do. Greger completes the 2 DCL Clodairs gate, but Stroll is right with him. Underneath him, chasing him through the Zurich Switzerland gate and demolishes that lead that Greger took. Perhaps Greger has the better straight line speed and Stroll has the better turns. We'll find out now as we head to that section again. Stroll pulls behind, Greger pulls away. Stroll has a bit more trouble, making his way through the Breitling gate, and Greger has got the lead here. 2 DCL gates, not a problem. He'll head back through the Zurich Switzerland gate like it's not even there. Comes around the pylons, and it is coming to the death now. The Eisheim gate, not a problem for him. Stroll is coming. Greger is home. Stroll needs a second run at the finish. Gets it there. Comes in 4.77 seconds behind him. But as you saw, for a lot of that race, that gap got big, that gap got small quickly. Brilliant race by 2 great pilots. Stroll here, you can see Greger's drone just above him in the picture. But of course, Greger doesn't know how close Stroll is unless he hears his teammates on stage letting him know. Congratulations, Marcel Greger. He takes the point, and it makes it 2-all. So big heat time will come next. All 8 drones in the air. Winner takes it all. We get this situation quite often. It's 2-all after 2 teams brilliantly matched against each other. But remember, Apex Racing are one of the permanent teams looking for the DCL World Championship. McDonald's wildcard team, they're a wildcard team. So this is big news if they can knock Apex Racing out of their first race at the DCL. And in big heat time, there are bonus points you can get, but it doesn't matter here because the first pilot home will get a point for their team, and that is all they need. So, Apex Racing against McDonald's wildcard team for the semi-finals. So who's going to win this? Let us know if you're joining us on YouTube and Facebook. Are Apex Racing going to start their season well, or are McDonald's wildcard team going to show that maybe these pilots should have been in our season? Do we have some ex-Swiss Black Kites pilots looking to show that they should still be racing with us? Timothy Trowbridge focused for Apex. He told me earlier that while he had a great season with X-Blades Racing and is a joint world champion as part of that team, the team spirit for Apex, he thinks that's something that he's really enjoying right now for the start of the season. He'll be disappointed if they're out and not in this semi-final. Let's find out now. To the air, all 8 drones are away out of their starting blocks. And it is Glauser who's got the lead for the McDonald's wildcard team, but 3 Apex Racing drones are chasing him. Down through the McDonald's gate, not a problem. Greg has got the lead now, but Feli Raff and Larson with him. Grace, and we're starting to get a long way behind as the Breitling gate comes down. Gregor has a lead here round the pylons, down through the I-Time gate, and the SEAT gate will be his as well. He's still got the lead. They'll head towards where the Breitling gate used to stand. It lays down on the side of the half-pipe. Gregor continues through the DCL closed their gate. Grace has moved up through the field. Isla has moved down to Apex Racing in pole position for a semi-final spot here. Round the pylons, Isla's taking the lead back. He goes to the crash gate, but Gregor may have beaten him there. And to complicate things further, then Grace is waving a protest flag. McDonald's wildcard team are celebrating. Gregor may have beaten him, and we may even get a rerun of all of it due to the gate going down and a protest. We're on board with Marcel Gregor, who makes it through the McDonald's gate and overtakes someone on the other side. Goes where the Breitling gate would have been, continuing on his racing line there. Here he is towards the finish. Does he beat him at the end? No, it's looking like McDonald's have taken it. We'll double check, but from that replay, it does look like Gregor nearly caught him, but not quite. And the Breitling gate limps to the snow. So we had a protest handed in. There in the front of your picture, Alfie, who's joining Apex Racing. He's another one of the gamers that got picked through the DCL draft. He's here helping the team out. He's not racing for them right now.
We had a downed gate in the big heat, so we're going to have a rerun after the 4th quarterfinals.
Okay, so the big heat will get rerun. We will go to our 4th quarterfinal, and then after that, we will get a rerun of that big heat. We got some fixing to do.
Aber sind wir gerade DJ set, turn it up, disco set.
Alright, Daddy's here. Daddy's here. The squad's here. I'm going, turning around, and just doing the flip. Just bring it into a prop. What's the song about?
Right, so here live from LAAX, we will return to our stage. Chief Judge Lucas Baumann has an update for us on the current racing situation.
Regarding the rerun, Quad Force 1 against China Dragons, the rerun is cancelled because Quad Force 1 is disqualified because of an illegal drone.
And you can see the reaction live on our stage as Alex Campbell finds out, alongside his teammates, that due to an issue with regulations and their drones not keeping within them, their rerun of that single heat will not actually happen, as they have actually been disqualified from the competition at the quarterfinal stage. That is massive news, as Quad Force 1 were runners-up in the World Championship last season, looking to make a huge impact this year and trying to win every race was their intention. Not only that, but our opposition, China Dragons, had only once in 10 races ever made it to the next round into the semi-finals. And here it looks like China Dragons are progressing and the runners-up of the World Champions are already done for the day. That is huge news for both teams. Which means we won't be getting a rerun of Alex Campbell and Dennis Harshman as you just heard, Quad Force 1 are disqualified. I'll try and find you more information as to the details of that. I suspect it's either going to be a power issue or it's going to be something outside of dimension limits. We have had a number of issues here on our first race of the season with teams turning up, knowing the regulations, but troubling with a few of the components not quite being valid. We do have a rerun awaiting us of the big heat of quarterfinal 3, but before that, there's 2 more teams we haven't even met yet. Let's bring them out to our stage. And one of them is new, one of them you know. To the stage, the 2-time reigning world champions, X-Blades Racing. They line up with Brett Collis, Gary Kent, Luke Bannister on the left of your picture there, and joining them is Heiko Schenk. There's their team manager here, Dominic, on the right of picture 2. We know these guys well, but they're from the UK and their opponents are the new Russians. On our stage, we welcome Drone Sports Global. They are our new Russian team. It's UK versus Russia in quarterfinal number 4. X-Blades Racing and Drone Sports Global. Drone Sports Global here with their lineup of pilots new to the DCL. We have Paweł Leszak, Thomas Peterson, Konstantin Kostolopov, and Platon Maximov. And we will head towards 4 single heats and then a big heat of quarterfinal number 4. And this X-Blades Racing, 2-time world champions, winner of the DCL season 2018, winner of the DCL season 2017, have just seen their closest competitor last year, Quad Force 1, get disqualified in the quarterfinals. I'm still on the case to try and know exactly what part of the regulations was broken. Joining me here on the commentary desk for quarterfinal number 4, thrilled to announce we have Andre Krasny, who's here on site. He's watching the racing here in LAAX, so I brought him onto the desk. Andre, good afternoon to you. How are you finding this?
Good afternoon.
It's a beautiful place to be.
Good afternoon. It's absolutely fantastic place. It's probably the first time I get to see drone racing on slope like that, on the top of the mountain. It's amazing.
Yes, for a number of these pilots, it is the first time that they have raced in cold conditions like this. However, if you're on the side of drone sports, it's something you're a little bit more familiar to, because we got some Russian pilots in there, of course, and I asked them earlier on, how do you feel about the snow? And they were like, we are from Russia.
Absolutely.
It's just
I can
snow.
imagine they are quite familiar with colder situations, yes. Of course, we have to factor some things like temperature affecting the way we can use batteries.
Yeah.
There's multiple technical things which impact the flying. Yep.
Yeah, it's tricky, whether you're used to the conditions or not, whether it affects you as a pilot because it is cold, whether you have to wear gloves, because that's something some of our pilots aren't keen on because they want that real fine motor control. And as you say, batteries, so it's technical issues, it's personal issues, and then you've got the conditions of flying over something that is basically all white.
Yeah. I think it's excellent. It's yet another case where they can prove themselves and test their setups. Yeah.
So it's a challenge.
Definitely.
Let's see what we can do here. X-Blades Racing, you're on board now with Heiko Schenk, who is going to be taking part in the first single heat. And he has Platon Maximov from Drone Sports Global as his opponent, who is confident. When I asked him, just for confirmation, you understand, just to get to know him, maybe he's a little bit nervous, maybe he's a little bit modest. Platon has won every race in Russia. There's a man who knows what he's doing. There he is, calm and collected, nodding. He knows I'm telling the truth. Every race in Russia. It's quite a big place. Quite a lot of races, that, Andre?
I never had the pleasure to visit Russia and race there myself.
Are you saying that if you had, he would not have won every race in Russia?
Being a pilot, I would love to try.
Let's go to our first single heat. Andre will stick around and let me know what he thinks of our pilots and how they attack this amazing course. Heiko Schenk launches for the reigning world champions in light blue, and Drone Sports' Platon Maximov is half a second behind him in red, and that gap looks a little bit bigger now as Schenk makes it through to McDonald's Gate, down to the new Breitling Gate. That's the DCL one. 1, 2, and a clash. You heard a drone crashing in there. Schenk has missed the entry to that. Had to go back to it again, but I think Maximov is some way behind him now. No, he's still in the air, as you can see. And they are high, and Maximov has the lead. Schenk's going to fight it back from him, takes it back, and through the I-time Sayer gates, he's gone. Maximov now with a lot of work to do as Schenk pulls away, flies down fast. Maximov comes in with a lot of height, like he's a little bit scared of being too low. That slowed him down somewhat. He is I think he's probably going to have to go back and take a couple of those gates again. Schenk has the pylons and a big lead now. Downhill climb, if you can climb down, but has missed the finish. No, he's there. I thought he was going to have to go back for it again. He's home, and Maximov caught a lot of that time up. 1.6 seconds behind him. Wins every race in Russia. Not going to win that one, but a brilliant showing against Heiko Schenk. Thrilling race from these two. We'll stick around on board. Andre, what do you see here from Platon?
I'm not sure what happened. Clearly he experienced some issue. We can see his low voltage was blinking. Maybe indeed he was a little bit low on battery. I was very keen to see what Heiko can do. He's running a special frame. He has vertical arms, and this track indeed is quite long. Might help him to get better result. And yeah, of course, he took it.
A track being long might help him in what way?
Heiko is running a special frame. It has vertical arms, so it has a potential to impact efficiency and also his top speed at a little sacrifice of weight. So on the long track, he might be actually gaining quite a bit.
Now, if you're interested as to whether or not you think you're seeing a third drone flying around, the answer is that yes, you occasionally are, as we do have a 360-degree drone filming for the first time at the DCL. So while our pilots are flying, we do have Mirko Sazeda, incredible freestyle trick pilot, flying a drone with a 360-degree camera on it. So if you caught that, well spotted. There is a third drone in the air. Out of the way, I hasten to add, but it is up there. Leo FPV and YouTube, you caught it. Well done. Yes, I wondered how long it would take before anybody would ask, but there is a 360-degree drone in the air for the first time at the DCL. Gary Kent's first race of 2019 with the DCL. He'll take to the air now. And he goes up against Konstantin Kosolopov and has the lead. Quarter of a second reaction time for Kent, and Kosolopov 4/5 of a second behind him now. The Sayer gate is not a problem for either of those pilots, and Kent pulls away down through the McDonald's gate. Looks like a lot more than 4/5 of a second now. And Kosolopov has possibly missed it. You see there for the first time, URES, that's under review actually for an early start. He might have jumped the gun off of the starting blocks. Our spotters are going to need that to be checked. And Kosolopov is in fact ending that. Kent is ending that. It's definitely an early start. That is a heat point for Gary Kent. And Kosolopov's first race in the DCL, as you can see, frustration for him, a little bit too eager, jumped the start. And that hands the point to X-Blades. Here's his route, though. Actually, that's him after he's aborted all of this, I think. Yeah, that's him just bringing it home. Gary Kent needed a second run at the finish, but the race was already his. So it's 2-0 to X-Blades, and we're looking there at Thomas Peterson for Drone Sports Global. First in the Moscow World Cup, and that's how he came to the attention of the Russian Drone Sports Global team. Winner of the FIA Finland Cup. And flying, and Andre, you'll be able to help us explain briefly what this means. Thomas told me he made a bit of a mistake in planning, and his drone is about 100 grams heavier than it needed to be.
Well,
that is quite significant, right?
I think it's going to impact him, of course. 100 grams will be noticeable for sure. Unless it's a battery which will help him to push harder, I think it's going to be noticeable, yeah.
He has, of course, a lot more of a season. This is only our first race of 2019. There'll be another race tomorrow, same time tomorrow. New qualifying and then new races, maybe a new result at the end of it as well. At the end of all of our drone Prix, points are awarded towards the World Championship season. That's what everyone is racing for. Brett Collis, Pilot of the Year in 2017, one of the very best in 2018. He's going to start his run now towards collecting a huge load of points this year. Can he do it? First point on offer. He'll need to take down Thomas Petersons. For Thomas Petersons, a big scalp if he can beat Brett Collis. A lot of support for Thomas Peterson in the chat here on YouTube. Good to see it. Thank you for joining us. We love everybody who's joining us here, whether you're a new viewer to the DCL or whether you're very familiar with the drone racing world. Welcome. Hope you're enjoying the action with us here on the first time we've ever been on a mountain. First time we've ever raced in cold conditions like this. So race results are getting re-investigated behind the scenes. Meanwhile, on our stage, Brett Collis and Thomas Petersons are ready. Andre, what's it like? You've been on a DCL stage. What's it like right now? Your goggles are down. You're trying to get into the zone. Maybe there's a short delay. You need to focus and wait for that 10 seconds countdown, which is coming very soon.
It's all about the focus, staying calm.
Number 5, you're plugged in. Number 5, can you arm?
Thomas Peterson's view. It's difficult, isn't it, Andre? Particularly when it's your first race.
I think also when there's an issue, you cannot arm your quad or anything which is preventing you to perform. That's especially extra stressful. But I think they are ready.
Here we go then. Our third single heat between X-Blades and Drone Sports Global. And Brett Collis with his typical start out of the blocks there, by which I mean he likes the other pilot to go first, so he knows he's not going to any risk of someone crashing into him, and then his intention is to pass Peterson. Let's see if he can do it. The DCL replacement Breitling gate is there, and Peterson still has the lead. Brett Collis half a second behind him. Peterson pulls away from the half pipe, heads up to the Zurich Switzerland gate, and seems to maybe slightly extend that lead. He'll come around the back of the pylons in a time of 24.44. It has now doubled that lead to a second over Brett Collis, but we know the speed that the legendary Collision FPV has got. In fact, he's coming. We're on board with Brett, and he took a lot of speed down towards the half pipe. He's kept that drone in the air after getting into a mess of it. Peterson's has still got the lead now. He'll come around and complete lap number 2, and Brett is a long way behind. Peterson will bring it down, a better second lap for him, and gets the point for Drone Sports Global. Brett Collis still in the air, comes in now, a few seconds behind him. But Thomas Peterson's got his first point of the season, and it is a big name he beat to get it. Yeah, Brett will come back from that, we know. Here we are on board with Thomas Petersons. There you go. That's what it looks like when you get your first point in a world championship. And to the delight of his teammates all around him too. That's a big one, isn't it, Andre?
That's the way to enter DCL, the proper way, definitely.
We'll go to our fourth single heat of this.
No more power cycles, guys. Pilots 4 and 5, ready?
Fourth single heat. Luke Bannister returns to the DCL, having been so instrumental in X-Blades Racing, becoming a two-time world champion. Paweł Leszak is away from the blocks as well, slightly behind Bannister, who's got a small lead, now half a second, but Leszak is not hanging around and passes him. Is over the top of Bannister. Out, they've already gone through the McDonald's gate. We'll go on board with Bannister, who's got Leszak ahead of him through that DCL gate, but not the second one. And Bannister looks like he'll complete the second lap through the Zurich, Switzerland gate, now in the lead. But Leszak is with him. Around, it's a wider course for him. He's behind Bannister now. But as we saw, this is the place where he overtook him on lap 1. And through the McDonald's gate, they'll both fly. Leszak looks to catch him. Leszak is down. Bannister's got this point for X-Blades now, but he was not alone for a lot of that. He's going to complete this out, make sure he secures it. The point is already his, as Leszak seems to be confirmed that he can't recover that. Bannister's having a little look at our audience and a big look at the crash gate. That point is needed. Tiny little fist bump. That is like a cold Luke Bannister as well. And a little respectful fist bump you see there. Love that between Bannister and Leszak. What happened here, Andre?
Well, Paweł clearly was chasing Luke and did amazing job actually attacking him straight at the first lap. He stayed close, and somewhere here, clearly McDonald's, he made that critical mistake and couldn't continue. And Luke takes the point, of course. He did his best.
So it's 3-1 to X-Blades Racing in this, and the big heat awaits. As you can see, they're tied on finisher points as well. When we get to this big heat, Drone Sports have to come in first and second to get 2 points from the big heat and take it to a tie, and then finisher points is what's going to settle it. X-Blades Racing just need one person at the front and they'll go through. But earlier on today, we had a disqualification, a huge announcement about Quad Force 1. They were 2-all after their races. We had a single heat, which was going to be rerun, but the decision was that it wouldn't be rerun, as Quad Force 1 were disqualified against China Dragons due to their drones being outside of regulation. That has been re-investigated. As you would imagine, first race of the season, everything must be absolutely right. That decision has been overturned. Quad Force 1 are now not disqualified from their quarterfinals, which means Alex Campbell, in the center of your picture there, is going to get his rerun against Dennis Hoshman of their single heat, and the winner of that single heat will still take their team to the semi-finals. Live conditions, new drones, some new regulations, everything being very thoroughly investigated. The cancellation of their race earlier on, the disqualification of Quad Force 1, is overturned. Quad Force 1 will race their rerun of their single heat against China Dragons. After this, the rerun will determine who goes to the semi-finals. Quad Force 1 looking to do it as they so often do. China Dragons looking to do it as they so rarely do. Big news for both teams. China Dragons thought they were already there. Quad Force 1 have a second, really, a third go at it. Lots of drama here. Everything being treated fairly, everything being investigated to make sure that the results are correct. On the blocks, Luke Bannister and his teammates from X-Blades Racing, and then all of the pilots for Drone Sports Global. And let's remind you again about how big heats work. The winner gets a point for their team. If a teammate is second, you get a bonus for that. And if a teammate is also third, you get another. Also fourth, you get another. Powell LAAX's video there is dreadful. What might be the problem for that, Andre? Hard to tell from here, I know, but just give us an example of what the reasons might be.
Damage of the antenna. Some cabling inside could be damaged, resulting in very bad video, obviously. After a crash, we could damage one of the critical components, such as video transmitter, which could lead to unfortunate results like we see. Well, actually, we don't see, because indeed, video is unflyable, and that has to be sorted before he will be able to continue. I see he's waving his hand. Oh, but we have an image. Yes, this is something we can definitely work with.
I see a lot of people very excited about that rerun to come, both on our chat in YouTube and everybody who's joining us on Facebook as well. Yes, Quad Force 1 have another go. But before that, Drone Sports Global from Russia have to get first and second right now. Then finisher points is what is going to be looked at. They'll pick up 2 finisher points by coming first and second. But if Nextblades come in, let's say, third and fourth, they'll get finisher points as well. Told you maths would get involved. Right now, let's just concentrate on some racing. You hear on stage, 10 seconds, Drone Sports Global need first and second at a minimum here. First, second, and third will secure it. And to the air we fly in LAAX in Switzerland with a blue drone of X-Blades in the lead. And the Russians, the red ones, are coming. Peterson's looks like he's already down. Schenk may be the one up front. And I'm hearing some skipping and some drones and some propellers getting into some issues. LAAX is down. That's another problem for Drone Sports Global. They needed at least first and second. It looks like only Maximov and Kozolopov can make it, as they seem to be the only ones who are still in the air. And it is the lead belonging to X-Blades Racing. And they'll head out through the McDonald's gate and down towards the halfpipe. It is Bannister in the lead. Schenk, his teammate, all around him. Schenk with a beautiful blue view from his blue drone. That is an interesting color issue, but it's not going to stop him flying. The yellow colors of DCL punching out against it. Schenk, Bannister. Bannister's got it. Kent a little way behind. Schenk does get there. It's the first, second, and third for X-Blades. That picks up 3 points for them. They only needed the 1. They go to our semi-finals, and Drone Sports Global leave us at the quarters.
I think I got mid-air by someone, because my quad looked like he just...
You can hear on stage Brett saying you think he may have got mid-aired. LAAX, nope, that's just a big gate and some snow to finish him off. Luke Bannister's view of the sun and a drone passing him. May have been his teammate Schenk going very, very hard.
Yes, we can see he might be also a little bit out of focus. When he was approaching the finisher gate, it was quite blurry. That could also cause sun to blow out and obviously obstruct the vision. It's one of the symptoms, yeah.
So congratulations to X-Blades Racing, 2-time world champions who go a big lead over the Russian Drone Sports Global. I've got high hopes for Drone Sports this season, but we'll be waiting to see what they can do tomorrow as they are done here today. Drone Sports Global leave us in the quarterfinal stage. X-Blades Racing will continue. So we got some quarterfinal action to work out. We've got 1 semi-finalist in the shape currently of Veloce Racing. We have Quad Force 1 and China Dragons still fighting over their semi-final spots. Apex Racing McDonald's Wildcard team, that big heat is due to be rerun as well. And we have X-Blades Racing pushing Drone Sports Global aside. They're in semi-final 2. Here's then the score between Quad Force 1 and China Dragons earlier on today, 2 quarterfinals ago. Corey Ibanez beat out Ronnie Chow and got the first point. Soren Anderson made it 2 for Quad Force 1 over Hai Hong Sha. In the 4th single heat, Dan Ayer, our #1 pilot from the DCL Gamer Draft, rocked up for China Dragons and beat out Evan Turner, who did not finish, making it 2-1 for China Dragons. And in the big heat, Dan Ayer picked up another point, winning the big heat for China Dragons, which means it's 2-all. But there was a single heat between Alex Campbell and Dennis Hockman. And that got a rerun after Alex Campbell had video issues, raised a protest, was deemed to be a valid protest, and he gets his rerun. It's coming now. It's 2-all. 1 point available in a single heat. Win this, go to the semi-finals. Quad Force 1, as they did so many times last season. China Dragons, as they did just once. How do you think the pressure is for these 2 pilots? We know they can handle it, but there's a lot on them right now, Andre.
Absolutely. I think the focus needs to happen and they need to give their best. This is the deciding moment, which team will advance further. So I can imagine there's quite a lot of pressure.
Guys getting ready. You can hear on stage, they're egging them on. Give them your support. Alex Campbell with a better start. So the Dennis Hochman in the air around the beautiful Galaxy Center. Here in LAAX, he dives down through the I-time gate. Hochman 0.27 seconds behind him. And on board we go. Through the McDonald's gate is Hochman. They head down towards what was the Brightling gate. That is a brilliant turn by him, and he's got the lead now. 1 second ahead of Campbell with his red drop spinning. Underneath him, Campbell takes him in the Zurich Switzerland gate and starts back through the lead. Hoffman takes him on the turn there as well. They are going one way, then the other. This is a brilliant scrap, as we hoped it would be. Hoffman behind Campbell through the McDonald's gate. Over that half pipe, Hoffman is into the DCL gates. Campbell, his goggles off. I think he's down as well. We've got 2 crashes. And we will sort that out by working out who made it further. We'll follow the official racing line around this course and measure which of the drones made it further around the course. On that first look, I have a feeling it might be Campbell, but I'm not sure where he's come down. Our spotters are out on the circuit. Our runners will go and work that out right now. Here we are with Alex. There we are with Dennis Hochman. We know he came out of the McDonald's gate upside down. Campbell is past that, so I think it's Campbell who hits this one. There you go. I actually thought that was Dennis Hochman, to be honest with you, but Dennis was already down. Andre, how did Alex manage to hit that one so high?
I think 2 factors. When Alex took off initially, his drone made a very weird maneuver, and I think something similar happened towards the gate in the back. And it looks like he indeed lost control over it and just ran into it. But of course, he was ahead, so he's definitely winning this one.
He is.
Yes, but
Quad Force 1 will go to the semi-finals over China Dragons. I'm going to go and have a bit of an interesting chat right now.
Der Weltmeister im Helikopter-Reserveführer, Helikopterführer und Bad. Jetzt erzählt er zu Flat.
Alex Campbell, Chief, Quad Force 1, all of that through to the semi-finals, where you need to be, where I know you want to be all season, but oh my, for a while you thought you were out.
Yeah, you know, I got plugged in on by another quad in the original single heat. Couldn't fly that, of course, so we reran it, and then something happened where they thought it was illegal, and then we just wanted to check on it. That got overturned, so we went after it again. You know, we built these quads the day before we started racing. They don't fly good. Mine flew itself from the McDonald's gate on down, but it just happened it flew itself further than it flew itself.
Yeah, a little bit of a crash there, but Dennis had just crashed one gate before you as well, which how you've managed to win that single heat. Tell me personally, what's the pressure like for you there? You're carrying your team to the semi-finals if you win that single heat. Then there's a DQ and you think you're out of this thing. Then it's thoroughly investigated a second time. Okay, you're back in this thing. That's a lot of pressure.
You know, I've been in that situation time and time again last season. I'm used to it. I don't worry about it. I know I can do it. I know my team relies on me to do it, and that's just, sometimes it's my time to step up. When Evan can't be a monster or Corey's having a bad day, sometimes old Chief has to step in, you know?
You've got Soren on board as well. He's putting some work in for you guys this season.
Animal, new guy. First season in DCL, he went up first single heat, rock solid, no nerves, brought home the win. It was like the proudest dad moment of my life. We're best friends with that guy, and you just can't beat having a good time in DCL with all your friends.
I have to ask you, last season we saw you in loads of finals, not just the semis where they are now, but progressing to loads of finals. And it's just that nemesis in the shape of the world champions X-Blades. How's it going to be different this season?
You know, we're good friends with X-Blades off the track, but of course, all that gets put behind us when we're racing. And, you know, they want good racing just like we do. And it came down to last year, they just outflew us. And this year, we're just trying to outwork everybody as much as we can. No win is going to be given to you in DCL, so it's just time to buckle down and put the work in.
Well, you are one step closer to getting your first win of the season because it is Quad Force 1 through to the semi-finals. Commiserations to China Dragons. So near. We'll see what happens next time.
Ja, schau mal dorthin, du siehst dann nachher. Ja, so ist es. Wir machen es umfahren. Genau so bin ich vorher abgeflogen und unterwegs. Fliegen wir, oder?
So live to you from LAAX in Switzerland, it's time for the rerun of the big heat of quarterfinal number 3. All 8 drones for Apex Racing, and the McDonald's wildcard team winner takes it all to the semi-finals. Glauser through the gates first, but they're starting to fall down. I think it's Glauser through the McDonald's gate there in the first place and heads out over the half line. He is in the lead, but Raff Larsen is not far behind him. Stroll 2 seconds back from there though. Remember, it's only 1 point for the win that will take either of these teams to the semi-finals. And Glauser completes the pylon turn in a time of 22.5. And Grace is 2.76 seconds behind him now. It's looking like a big win for a wildcard team, knocking a world championship contender out in their first race of the season. Yannick Glauser's view here in the lead, heading up towards the sun, over to Zurich, Switzerland, around the pylons. He is all the way down to the Iceland gate, and I think has crossed the line. He's behind the gate now. Would appear that even if Glauser's finish isn't in, Stroll is in second, so it'll be immaterial one way or another. McDonald's have at least got the win. As it stands, they've got 2 for first and second. And look at the celebrations there as these wildcard pilots who qualified through our simulator in McDonald's restaurants are in the semi-finals. Alfie leading the way into the fist bumps. He's not even flying with him. He's just there supporting his team. He's doing exactly what you should do, supporting your team there. Great effort from them in the quarterfinals, but not their start to the season they wanted. Apex Racing are out, and the wildcard team have taken a big team down. They got a big team to follow in the semi-finals. Congratulations to the McDonald's wildcard team. Andre, let's have a look here. As Marcel Gregory may have had a little bit of a mid-air. It looked like he just may have taken a hit.
Yes, unfortunately you got a mid-air and it led to the crash on the gate. Now we are with Rafael. One of the most difficult turns. You don't see that gate hanging on the side, but you have to line up just properly to make it quick. And then we had the bounce out of the finisher gate by Yannick, I believe, yeah. But they finished, they scored, they are very happy, rightfully so. Excellent work, guys.
I am surrounded by a super happy McDonald's wildcard team who have got it done. Look how pleased these guys are, rightly so. Swift, congratulations, you go to the semi-finals. And let's remember, you guys got here, some of you who we know very well, who we've seen in the seasons in the past couple of years, some other guys who we haven't had actually race in our seasons before. You all got here through competing in McDonald's restaurants on our simulator. Now you're showing that you can take down a world championship contender as well.
Unbelievable. Just really, really cool. And we're super relaxed on stage. That's our advantage, and we just took it.
Yeah. And Raphael, you're back with us racing on this team. Of course, we've seen you with the Swiss Black Kites last season. Loads of great races with them. What's it been like racing in a team of people, some of whom you know, and I guess some of whom you weren't so familiar with?
Oh, it's actually pretty cool because I know this guys already a long time. I know Moritz, and we're more than half of the Swiss Black Kite. So it's actually we're racing as a team again. So it's pretty easy. And we got my brother Serafin as our manager. He was also racing with us in the drone challenge, and yeah.
I did see in our McDonald's showdown we had earlier on today here in LAAX, where we had 8 pilots that raced off and they made it down to this final 4. Your brother over there, you were 4th to make it into that team. Your brother, where did he come again?
He was 5th, so it was actually close.
You love this right now, right?
Yeah, because he beat me all the time on the simulator, so it was time for me now to beat him on real drones.
Serafin, how do you feel about your brother? If you're going to be looking after this team, they've got a semi-finals to race in now, so how do you feel?
I'm really proud of them. They made a good job, and I'm happy to be here, and it was a fun and pleasure to race against my brother. Yeah.
Yannick, we've had you before, but we've never seen you on a DCL stage before. How's the experience for you?
Oh, everything is new and nice to fly with these perfect pilots, man.
Perfect pilots. They are semi-finalist pilots. You are now going to have a place in our leaderboard for basically the whole year because you're going to come out of this with points. Can they make it to a grand final? Huge upset. You got to take down a world champion to do it. If there's one name you want to beat, X-Blaze Racing are there. But these guys are in the semi-finals as well. As you see on screen then, our semi-finals are like this. Quad Force 1 from America have the Korean Veloce Racing. And then the world champions X-Blaze Racing. Havel, thirsty, hungry, ready to go. Wildcard team in semi-final 2.
Ist gut? Okay, Mirko, ready? Music. Music on, das ist der Mirko Cesena! Show. Und wer sie einfach nochmal möchte sehen, kommt doch einfach morgen nochmal zu uns auf den Grabs und John, dann macht er die grandiose weltmeisterliche Show gerade nochmal. Jetzt geht es gerade weiter mit Drone Racing Action, Drone Champions League, das erste Saisonrennen da oben und bis dann würde ich sagen, DJ Disco Sam.
So it is semi-finals time here at the Drone Champions League, live to you from LAAX in Switzerland. And the first semi-finalists finally get onto the stage. They are Quad Force 1. But the stage turns purple as the Koreans come. To the stage, two members of Veloce Racing. And the reason there's only two is because two of their pilots were disqualified before racing began today after their drones were found to be outside of regulation size. As I mentioned earlier on, teammates, family members, team crew and all of that are hastily trying to assemble more quads now in order to be able to equip 4 of their pilots to race correctly tomorrow. So what we're going to have here is 2 of Veloce Racing against all 4 of Quad Force 1. In the quarterfinal earlier today, Veloce Racing only had 2 pilots, but so did their opponents, DMM Raiden Racing, because 2 of theirs were disqualified as well. Here it's a much bigger challenge because it is 2 against 4. So as you can imagine, Quad Force 1 are already 2-0 up as those 2 single heats are guaranteed to be theirs. All right, on your stage, Corey Ibanez, who raced earlier on Quad Force 1. But this single heat is all his, as his opponent would have been Young Rock's son. I don't think Young Ho is racing right now. I don't think he should be putting his goggles on yet because I don't think he's in this race. Okay, so semi-final 1, single heat 1 is of course a win for Corey Ibanez, as Young Rock's son unfortunately isn't racing for Veloce. So it's 1 point for Quad Force 1. But the second single heat is Soren Anderson, 15-year-old pilot. He's up against Junyoung Ho for Veloce Racing. There's Junyoung Ho. Soren Anderson, his opponent on the other side of the stage. And away we go, and it is Ho with a better start. Anderson above him, and Ho hits the I-time gate, spinning it around. He's still in the air, but Anderson is away now. Anderson's got a big lead, but he's gone the wrong side of that half pipe. He needs to make it through that TCL gate, which he's done. So he had a bit of a lead over Ho. He's handed a little bit of that lead back again, but as he made his way out of the half pipe, he saw Ho coming in. Anderson with the lead through to Zurich, Switzerland's gate. He'll make his way up to the pylons and start lap number 2. He comes down through the I-time gate. He may well have seen that above him, Ho was flying, but he is a big chunk of lap behind him. Through to McDonald's gate, down towards DCL, replacement of the Breitling gates, and across the half pipe he flies. There he goes. We lost him a little bit into the distance. He continues in the lead. This is Anderson, Soren Monroe. Anderson, big lead now over Junyoung Ho in their first appearances in semi-finals for their teams. Soren goes to the crash gate. He knew he had loads of a lead. His teammates, as you've already seen from Quad Force 1, they know how to be loud. They were happy to tell him where he was at. There's a finisher point for Junyoung Ho, which is important to get. But a heat point, the big one, that is Soren's and Quad Force 1's.
Yes, this is one of the tricky elements. This turn has to be done very tight. The initial turn when we saw Jang Yo unfortunately crash, And also Corey had some issues on the bridling gate, but sorry, not Corey, Soren. But he finished. Both of the pilots secured finishing points, which is very good.
Yeah, that's important, and it's more important in semi-finals even than the quarters, because the teams who lose their semi-finals, one of them will be third, and one of them will be fourth. Third gets you 200 points to the World Championship, and fourth gets you 150. But the way we determine which of the losing semi-finals are third or fourth is on which team picks up the most finisher points to that stage. And it's the finisher points combined from the semi-finals, the quarterfinals, and across qualifying as well. Welcome to everybody who's joining us still on a mountain in LAAX. It's getting pretty cold now as the sun is about to go down behind the high peak to our left. Welcome to everybody on YouTube and Facebook joining us. I see some pilots we know well. Axel Mario, Christopher Lenkong from Indonesia. Welcome to you. We miss you. Armando Josep Halagos is joining us as well from our Spanish team who competed last year. Maita Maibaum is watching as well. Good evening, good afternoon to you. Benjamin Blackburn, how's the family? It's good to see so many amazing people from the drone racing community enjoying our action here at the DCR, and we are thrilled to have you wherever you are watching us around the world, or indeed in the increasingly chilly conditions on this mountain. Single heat 3 is Xiaomin Ko and Alex Campbell. And that is not the start you need. Go takes it away with the purple Veloce drone. Campbell in the air, but 5 seconds behind him. But Alex is a man who can catch another pilot when he's got a big gap ahead of him. He likes to fight. Goal is there through the Zurich, Switzerland gate. Campbell is nowhere to be seen now. Goal come around and start second lap. Campbell is nearly 10 seconds behind him. Finisher point is what he needs to pick up. His team are already 2-0 in the lead, of course. Goal makes it into the half pipe, almost literally. That down there is the longest half pipe in Europe. As you can see, the lighting conditions getting trickier as the sun is going down. Campbell is just falling more and more behind. Every time we see him, 5 more seconds of elapsed. Goes through high time, goes nearly into DCL crash gate. He's in it on a second time. You saw how he was dealing with pressure in the quarterfinals. That was super important. If he bounced off that gate, rolled it into the snow, and it was ditched, Alex Campbell could have beaten him to the finish, because although Go made it to the crash gate, you've got to go in.
It's 360 drop.
Oh, this is why Campbell is continuing to fly. You never give up. He may well have been flying over Go's dead drone somewhere around here. Instead, Campbell's having a little look around and a finisher point and a little flip into the gates and some respect from his teammates and on the Veloce side. Love to see that.
Yeah, you can't launch.
2-1 is what we've got now.
Now, what happened here? Alex actually hit the rail initially, and I think it impacted how his drone was handling, because obviously he was going very slow. We are not used to seeing him fly like that. And also, that was quite a risky moment indeed. Happens to a lot of pilots under pressure, of course, but it can cost you points. I was very lucky. We can see the relief, yes.
All right, so single heat 3. We get a point on the board for Veloce. Remember, we are back live from this mountain tomorrow. Same time as well, when these pilots will have had a bit more time flying around here. I see we have some viewing parties joining us as well. Love to have that. Welcome to everybody. Oh, Armando, no, you're right. I'm sorry. Tagging you as one of our Spanish pilots. Apologies to you. Jennifer Air says, to bring so many nationalities together in race is just so fantastic. Drone Champions League, you're doing a huge job. Thank you to you all. That is a beautiful thing. Thank you so much. That is a wonderful thing. It's what we love about this. We are the World Championship, bringing all these pilots together. Now we've got Corey Ibanez. Oh, Adam's joining us as well. Adam Blackburn, still one of my favorite pilots. Superstar, as he was in our 2017 season. What have we got in front of us now? Well, we've got a Quad Force 1 team looking confident that a grand final spot is gonna be theirs. But it's not over yet, is it? Now, Veloce, of course, are struggling here in single heats as they only have 2 pilots. And of the 2 single heats that they can fly, well, we've seen a decent scrap from these pilots. Some particularly good flying from Seong-min Go just now. So we're going to go to big heats. Pilots are ready on stage, as you can hear.
No, Corey, go Wildcard, you're probably right. Yeah. I'll anchor.
Big heat time! Quad Force 1 against Veloce Racing. They're 3-1 up because their final single heat was of course Quad Force 1's as Veloce Racing couldn't field a pilot to race against Evan Turner. It would have been Min-Cham Kim, who we are hoping will be back with us tomorrow. Love to see what he can bring to the DCL. Turner and Anderson are down for Quad Force 1. Ho is down as well. And that is a big problem as they needed a lot of points out of this. And unless he can bring his drone back into the air, it's all on Go right now, who's out in front, but he can't win 2 points by himself. Veloce Racing's Go has the lead. Flies high towards the Galaxy building, around the side there, dropping it down through the I-time gate, makes it home. And you see again the pressure and the performance from him, dealing with the pressure, clocking up the wins, but they needed a first and a second, and as you see here, Corey Ibanez, knowing that all the opposition are down, brings it home, secures the finishing point. More importantly, stops Veloce Racing from scoring 2 if Ho could have got back into that race. That means Quad Force 1 are our first grand finalists for 2019. There's the win. That is in, just about. The Seong-min Go. There it is again. Yep, still just about in. And Quad Force 1 go to a final. They know what that's like. They were in, believe it or not, 8 grand finals out of 10 last year. They only won 1 of them. 3-2, Quad Force 1 will be our grand finalist, and they'll find out after the next semi-final who they are going to race in that. Finisher points, huge lead there, so if Veloce had managed to get 2 points back in that big heat by coming in first and second, 2 heat points would have made it tied on heat points, but as you can see, finisher points mean Quad Force 1 would have been our grand finalists nevertheless. Good performance from 2 pilots of Veloce. It must be hard, Andre, when 2 of your teammates have been DQ'd to your team's drones not being within regulations. You got to step onto a stage for the first time, you've never raced with DCL before, 2 young, confident pilots, but it's a big deal, and you haven't got your teammates together to help you on stage as well.
I can only imagine the pressure, all the eyes are on those 2 pilots, but they are doing fantastic job so far. They got into semi-finals, which is already quite an achievement for a debut.
We have, making up the rest of Veloce, young Roxanne, who gave us great racing in previous seasons at the DCL. And Min-Cham Kim, who's not yet raced in the DCL, but is a very, very famous drone racing pilot. Very excited to see what he can bring to this as well.
I had the pleasure of racing with Min-Cham, and I can confirm he's extremely talented, committed, and fast pilot. I would love to see him show us his skill. I believe we will get to see it tomorrow.
I hope so. We will if they can get some quads built within regulations, and there was driving and finding components, an assembly line that needs to happen as well. Big squad working that out for Veloce. I hope we get a full-strength team. Everybody here at DCL hopes we get a full-strength team, and from China Dragons as well. Who were 2 pilots down in their first quarterfinal for the same reason, drones outside of regulations. Sorry, not China Dragons, DMM Raiden Racing. We want to
great.
see what they can bring to this as well. They've all got another chance tomorrow. But you know, drones, rules, those things have to go together. Now here's something to anticipate. Semi-final 2, X-Blades Racing against the McDonald's Wildcard team. So our other finalists to race Quad Force 1 are either a Wildcard team causing a massive upset, knocking out a world champion, or the nemesis of Quad Force 1. Here are the two-time reigning world champions, X-Blades Racing. Luke Bannister, along with Brett Collis, Gary Kent, and to the right at the back, if you like, of that picture, Heiko Schenk.
16, 17, and 18.
Oh, Brett can count. 16, 17, and 18, I can hit one. Okay. Maybe that's his pre-race warm-up, getting him into the zone. But their opposition have already done a big upset. Here's the biggest one they could possibly do. The McDonald's Wildcard team. So we welcome back Yannick Lauser, Moritz Verfelli, Michael Isler, and Raphael Strahl. So excited after they won earlier on. Seraphin Strahl there on the left, Raphael's brother helping run the team. He was trying to compete to be in it earlier. 8 McDonald's pilots came here. Anybody could enter this. They raced on DCL, the game, our drone racing simulator. They raced on that in restaurants all over Switzerland. The best 8 pilots came here. 4 of them remain after a knockout race earlier on. That man is Heiko Schenk. Yannick Lauser is his opponent for the first race in our semi-final number 2. It's a tough one, this. Schenk and Glauser, both previous pilots from the DCL, Andre.
Indeed.
Would you, I won't make you predict.
It's been a while since we've seen Heiko, but he's performing on his top level, so I think Heiko has a very good chance, of course. But McDonald's team seems to be doing extremely well. They found their chemistry immediately.
As Yannick Lauser looking maybe a little like he realizes the significance of what they got. I mean, to be honest, in the quarterfinals, you could argue in some ways they had nothing to lose. They are only racing at this event today and, of course, tomorrow, as we do 2 races in every one of our locations. But they're not competing as part of the World Championship Series, so it's not like we must do well this point, get all the points we can today. We want to get more points next time we're racing. Can't tell you when and where yet. But anyway, let's go. Semi-final 2. Heiko Schenk and Yannick Glauser will take it off. And it is Glauser with the lead and Schenk 1700ths of a second behind him. Glauser's away. Yannick has passed him. Past Heiko Schenk, but Schenk has passed him back. And it goes one, and then it goes the other. We'll try and keep up, but this is going to go to the end, I think. Heiko Schenk through to Zurich Switzerland Gate. Had to make a little adjustment to make it work, and he's away around the pylons, but Glauser is now over a second in front of him. But this is where Schenk caught him with straight line speed, and you'd expect the X-Blades racing drones to be good at that. He's coming around to take him now on a higher fight, and is down hard. Glauser continues around the pylons, but as you can see, Heiko Schenk hit the snow and is staying there. And the first point is the McDonald's team. Relief on Yannick Glauser and a point well earned.
Excellent work, absolutely excellent work. Tight battle from start. We can see this, they're extremely close, even through the McDonald's gate, which is the most difficult element of the track. And we can see actually Heiko is trying to cut it in, and for some reason he's losing that speed and then hitting the top of the gate. Right now he goes a little bit below, and then he hits the top, probably when he tried to regain this speed and obviously take control of that heat.
It's difficult to see there, but that is the longest half pipe in Europe that they are flying over. Gates on either side of it and then in the middle of it. And as you come back towards the Galaxy building, you are climbing. In fact, you can see right there, that's a good shot, showing you the elevation change. And that's something you've got to take into account, isn't it, Andre?
Absolutely.
To manage your speed.
Absolutely. Also, it's just after a very long stretch where we can cause a phenomenon called sagging. We are depleting the battery, and it can impact performance of the quad just after.
Second single heat has that man Gary Kent looking to even the scores against Moritz Verfelli. And to the LA flight, Kent with a slightly faster time, but he's buried it into the wall of the Galaxy Center. And continuing on his way, Gary Kent will fly on. Moritz Verfelli, to the amazement of the incredible audience who are getting a much close-up look. If you look to the right of Gary Kent's picture, you might just see, maybe Gary will even give us a look. It's hard to pick it out amongst the decoration of the Galaxy Center. But Brett's pointing to it where Moritz Verfelli's drone is in the wall. And oh my God, says Gary Kent, it is embedded in a building. If we can get a camera on that, I would love to show you the picture as it is right above our crowd here in LAAX. The first turn out of the blocks, making it up to the pylon. It's gone in the wall. There it is. I mean, technically, that's not out of the race yet.
He could still
a finisher point available to you if you can rescue that one, Moritz, but I think we'll call that done as he does. That is one of the most spectacular crashes. There are now windows being opened next to that as people are wondering what happened nearby. On board, gonna enjoy this. His video went and this drone continued on. I thought we were gonna get a close-up of an impact there. That's why he's on stage, as you see the replay there. That's why he's on stage wondering what happened. You can tell the speed that was carrying towards the first turn of the course. Absolutely incredible. And amongst all of that, Gary Kent takes one and then evens it up for X-Blades Racing. Brett Collis, Michael Isler, and a big pokey stick is trying to rescue Moritz's drone right now. We'll try and get that back. Isler on stage. You saw from my interview with him earlier on how much they're enjoying themselves. I know, I remember this about Swift FPV. He likes to stand, but he also likes to turn as though he doesn't want to look at what's happening. Even though he can't see it, what he can see is that picture, the view from the FPV camera on his drone. Brett's looking around. I think he's assuming we are going to have to wait before drone has been recovered. I think that race is pretty good to go, Brett. He'll get himself ready on our stage to take on Michael Isler. So I'm seeing on the chat that's joining us with the incredible audience we have on Facebook and YouTube. Nora Zar wants to know what the wall's made of. Well, 1% drone. Here it comes, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes. It's technical, this, isn't it? You can see the very carefully considered plan. Poke it a bit until he gives in. All right, now the wall is 0% drone. Okay. Collis versus Isler, and as I mentioned earlier, Collis is used to seeing a pilot lead the blocks ahead of him. He likes to start like that and pass them. He's got the pass there already on the straight bit, which we've seen. The X-Blades drones are particularly quick at that long line out of the half turns and into the half pipe. Collis has got the lead. Isler takes it from him. The speed Isler's got there as they start lap number 2. Absolutely brilliant, and this is a really good scrap. Very high through the I-time gate. They both made it past that, but Isler is in trouble. Collis has passed him. Isler is high and wide, looping round and down onto the snow. Collis has got this now. Collis crashed out of his single heat in quarterfinal 1. but this one is his. Past the hole in the wall, around the pylons, and towards. Yes, take a second run at it. You want to make sure you get this finisher point. A third run at it, Brett, if you wish. He's in.
There was not much left in the front. He just went past. I'm like, what?
Brett, you can see getting a little bit of an insight there into how he felt during that race. Isler's saying to him there, yes, back and forth, one the other way, one the other way. Look at how close those incredible pilots came on the exit of that closed air gate. And the next one. Here's Isler's view. Oh, it looked like he was heading for the middle of the McDonald's gate, Andre, and you've got to be very decisive about that one. I've seen many pilots hit the middle because they're making a decision a bit too late.
Absolutely. Keeping the line already planned is the best approach. Changing in last second can only cause trouble. But he was able to save it. Unfortunately, he couldn't carry it through the track. I wonder maybe there was something wrong with his drone.
Next, single heat. As X-Blades are now 2-1 ahead. Luke Bannister will try and extend that lead. Raphael Stroll will try and even the score. Raphael likes to face the complete other way. I think it's the comfort with the wire from the goggles thing. Stroll has got Bannister ahead of him. 2/10 of a second, but Bannister has spun out from that gate, clipped it, spun it, and has ditched it. Bannister is done. Stroll has this one. It will be 2 points all, unless X-Blades hastily lodge a protest, but I don't think from the look of Bannister on stage that he's intending to. It's going to be 2-2 between McDonald's and X-Blades Racing, which means the big heat will settle it again. And McDonald's have a real chance now of making a grand final, knocking out the reigning world champions, and being bought some drinks by Quad Force 1 later on tonight. If there is one team that Quad Force 1 want to see out of the running in the first stage of our World Championship, it is the team who've beaten them in every grand final they've flown against. Here's Stroll. Bannister out of that surprisingly early for a pilot of his experience. Andre, what went wrong for him?
Very early. He actually took that turn very low, maybe not accounting for the new size, because the size of the drones changed. Maybe not the accounting for the power regulations, and he couldn't pull it up in time, and unfortunately he crashed into this sad gate.
It is dead even. Look at that. And those finisher points, remember, they've been accumulated from not just these semi-finals, but all the heats across the quarterfinals and in laps of qualifying as well. So it is literally the moment we love to get in the DCL, when it is winner takes all in a big heat. It doesn't matter if your teammate is second, you don't need bonus points. The one heat point for the win is so important right here. It is the difference between your team being in the final and not. Points for the DCL, 250 for the World Championship if you win, 220 for second, 200 for third, 150 for fourth. We know Quad Force 1 await the winner of this, and I believe Veloce Racing came out of the semi-final with 10 finisher points, which means whoever loses this race, their finisher points are more than Veloce's. They should, any investigation notwithstanding, the loser of this should be third in our season. If that is X-Blades Racing, they're giving a big start to Quad Force 1, who are in the finals already. Our drone cages get taken away. Drones are stacked on the blocks, ready to go. Can they do it? Let's see in the chat on YouTube and Facebook if you think McDonald's Wildcard team, who have already taken down Apex Racing, new to the DCL, can they take down the most famous team we've got in the shape of X-Blades Racing? Can they do it? It's the big race that's going to settle it. JQFPV says this is the best stream ever. Plasma Sky, great stream, perfect. We are so pleased to have you with us. Thank you for joining us. Glad that you're enjoying the action. Glad that you are enjoying the action from a mountain. I haven't said that for a while. Here it comes. And the reaction times are good for a lot of the pilots, predominantly the ones in X-Blades Racing, and it is dark blue in front. And away we go. So many pilots into that DCL gate. It falls! That again is that plain place that we dropped the Breitling gate earlier today. Meanwhile, the race continues, and it is X-Blades out in front. It appears to be Kent now who's in the lead. Bannister behind him. Verfelli fractionally alongside Bannister, but he can't stay there. He's got to pass not only Luke, but Gary Kent as well. Now it is 3 X-Blades Racing drones working it out in the timings. Glauser is out, Strahl is out, Isler and Verfelli have a lot to do. They're still in the racing and it's not over yet, but here comes the finish, and it looks like it is X-Blades in. It seems Gary Kent is home, and Verfelli managed to catch Bannister. Bannister indeed may have gone the wrong way. That WF stands for wrong flight. Maybe towards the end. Brett, Collis, Luke Bannister may have all gone the wrong way. I think a gate coming down. Maybe they skipped that part of the course. I suspect none of this is going to matter. If Gary Kent is found to have flown the correct way, I'm hearing that actually it looks like we may get a rerun of this. And a big cheer here in LAAX, as we want to see some more racing from not only the world champions, but this incredible wildcard team.
Now we can see Rafael flying, very good. What happened there is quite interesting. He lost control over his drone. Was it a failure? Was it landing?
That is 5 drones into the Red Bull crash gate, and the ones in 3rd and 4th were basically neck and neck. And it is not easy to fly in, and there is not a lot of room. It is the same crash gate as last year, but the drones are slightly bigger. 2 of them going in side by side. Not easy to do. So far, it is 2 points to X-Blades Racing, 2 points to McDonald's, and 2 points to any of our pilots, and none to the gate on the track, because that's 2 we've killed now. You can see the speed these pilots are flying at. These drones can reach up to 140 kilometers an hour. They can do 0 to 100 in less than a second. And yeah, they can punch a hole in a gate.
Or a wall.
Or a wall. Very true, Andre, yes. The gate, I think we might be able to fix that, although I've got to admit, we might be running out of them.
It's the first one actually. We've seen a drone being retrieved from the trees. We've seen a drone being retrieved from the lakes. Wall is the first, definitely.
Alex Van is asking, why did we not make the crash gate bigger? That's a little bit like asking, valid question, but a little bit like asking, why don't we make the race easier? Should we?
Bigger. We could relate to the previous seasons where the crash gate was indeed a little bit bigger.
Yep. The drones are slightly bigger this year. What are we going to do? It looks like we're performing CPR on the DCL gate there. Should the crash gate get bigger as the drones get bigger? I mean, at some point, sure, but yet, I don't know. Wait and see what happens later on this season. We got some fixing to do. As you can see, we are under review, although I think it's pretty clear to everybody. Big Heat is going to get rerun. So, it's a big challenge, isn't it, Andre?
Sure is, sure is. I see
We're going to have a look and see what happens out of this later on.
I see excellent teamwork from McDonald's Wildcard. They're doing fantastic work. I'm very curious what happens next.
Okay, you can see on our stage Chief Judge Lucas Bauman. He's there with Dominic, the team manager for X-Blades Racing, and all of the pilots. Let's find out what the situation is going to be. Okay, Lucas, you can see this getting ready. Here we go.
Due to the timing, there will be no reruns. Teams are even on heats and finisher points. X-Blades Racing has the faster qualification time and takes the win.
Das ist scheiße.
Well, that is really difficult for these incredible pilots. We're not getting a rerun of that big heat due to the conditions here in LAAX and how cold it is getting. You'll be able to see how dark it is getting now. We are on a mountain. We do have to get off of this mountain. I don't think X-Blades are happy with that, and I respect them as sportsmen for not feeling so, because that's not how you want to do it. You see commiserations on stage there. The McDonald's wildcard team aren't going to get that rerun. X-Blades aren't going to get that rerun. X-Blades are going to the grand finals. I know everybody would like to have seen the McDonald's wildcard team have another run at that. They did lose the big heat that we saw. Gary Kent had got that one. But a rerun was going to be called after, the gate came down and that caused a problem on some of the track for some of the pilots. Gary had won that big heat, so I think it's not unreasonable to argue that X-Blades probably would have won it, but we would have loved to have seen it happen. Yeah, that's unfortunate, but McDonald's fall. Let's not take away from them what a brilliant result that already is for them, getting to the semifinals. What it does leave us is Quad Force 1 and X-Blades Racing are our grand final, which is an incredible contest to look forward to. These teams met 6 times in the grand final in the 2018 season. Every single time X-Blades Racing beat Quad Force 1. What an exciting final we're going to have now. X-Blades Racing and Quad Force 1, it's always an incredible scrap. Don't go away. That grand final is coming next. Commiserations again to McDonald's, but we will see them back again tomorrow. Here we are then, live to you from LAAX in Switzerland, and yeah, unfortunate result in the last semi-final. A huge grand final awaits us between X-Blades Racing and Quad Force 1. Very excited to see it. That final always delivers, and as I mentioned already, a lot of history as X-Blades have won that 6 times out of 6. But before this season began with our first true race, as we are doing here tonight now, as the sun has gone down in LAAX, before the season began with our first real-life race here, we invited some gamers to join in with the first ever DCL draft. And we are here with DCL The Game. It's our drone racing simulation. And gamers have been playing it for the last few months to qualify for the first ever DCL draft. The draft selection is the new format of the DCL for 2019, where gamers get the chance to become real drone racing pilots. They start on DCL The Game, our new drone racing simulator, which was launched in January 2019. Thousands of players participated in the draft selection to reach the top of the leaderboard. The best gamers in the world were invited to Cannes, looking to secure a place in one of the 7 professional drone racing teams of the DCL. The pilots had to prove right from the start that they could cope with the pressures of everyday life in the DCL. In front of a live audience, the pilots competed on various tracks. Some they knew well, one they didn't even know existed, completely unknown and specially designed for the draft selection in Cannes. which the pilots only had a few minutes to learn. The prize is a place on one of the 7 real-life drone racing teams for the 2019 season, competing in the DCL. They're eager to see if these rookies can stand up and race alongside the established pilots and world champions. After all the races and interviews had been done, the team managers withdrew to choose their desired pilots. Each team had to pick at least one gamer.
Well, I picked him because of his interview skills, and he just seemed very calm and relaxed on stage.
Because we think he's a perfect fit for our team. He has a very analytical understanding of things.
Because he has inner peace and the right attitude to create good team chemistry.
He's very fast, he's still young, and he has very, very big potential for the FPV racing.
We are here to turn gamer pilots into real drone racing pilots.
Pick number 1, China Dragons. Daniel, Irie, FPR, Dan. Ethan Kling.
Pilots are the picks of the DCL draft for 2019. Altogether, more than 20 players were selected to join the 7 best drone racing teams in the world. A huge credit to the skills of these gamers.
Mein Herz ist kurz stehen geblieben. Es ist für mich einfach unbeschreiblich gewesen.
It was kind of surreal hearing my name over like a loudspeaker and having to walk up on stage. I've never been to an event like this before.
Oh, I'm very happy. I've been following them for a while, and I think this will be a great fit.
It's awesome. I'm glad to be drafted into the DCL and race all across the world now.
Amazing. This is crazy. I mean, this is more than I expected for sure.
Thank you, Ken, for putting us up, and DCL for putting us up. It's just been a wonderful time here in South France, and this is an amazing event, so I'm really enjoying my time here.
So as the sun is well and truly down now, I mean, I'm not a weatherman. I couldn't tell you at what point the sun is officially down, but it is down behind a big peak. We are at 2,252 meters above sea level, and there is a peak over there at 3,000 meters. The sun is behind that. It is dark. It is cold. The temperature crashes here. When the sun is even close to going behind that, not all the way behind it, the temperature falls very quickly. And of course, first thing to feel, unless you know you're wearing way less clothes than you should be, fingers. It starts to really go here. It is cold for us. It is cold for our pilots. Welcome back to the mountain that is the beautiful site of LAAX in Switzerland. I'm Matt Andrews. Andre Krasny still with me, having come to enjoy a good day's racing, is helping us take apart what our pilots are doing, and a grand final awaits us, which is the one we have enjoyed so many times. 6 times X-Blades Racing have raced against Quad Force One. They were all in our 2018 season. Quad Force One hadn't been in it earlier. And between these teams, it's always a huge race, but it is always an X-Blades Racing win. I'm here with Quad Force One, who are ready, and we're awaiting X-Blades Racing to be ready to fly in it as well. Don't worry about the beeps, that's just warming up for our starting system. It's cold now, guys. The temperature has come down, the sun has gone. Soren, how are you coping?
I'm coping pretty well with the cold because I'm very used to it. I live in Vermont, so it's super cold there, and I'm kind of used to this weather.
On the other side, let's take a walk to our Californian guy, Corey Ibanez, who was just telling me to put a beanie on. I could, but yeah, I'm fine. How are you?
Not doing very well. I got my fingerless gloves on, wearing my hood, trying to stay warm. They've got heaters on the stage, so we're treated pretty well. Yeah. It's not too bad, but, you know, I've gone enough races. It's kind of getting used to it. Don't prefer it, but we'll see. I think we're going to do pretty well.
Don't prefer it is a polite way of saying something he said to me earlier on about being in the cold. It's time, guys. X-Blades Racing are coming to the stage now, so I have to ask you, 6 times you have lost to X-Blades in finals. Why is it your day today?
That's a good answer. Evan said 7 is a lucky number, so we're going to, you know, put our money on that and hopefully come out on top. Let's go with that one.
7 is a lucky number. Let's find out. It's the final we've loved to see, and here it comes between Quad Force One and X-Blades Racing. Good luck, guys. The grand finalists that are Quad Force One! And their opponents, oh, we've been here before. To our stage, the 2-time reigning world champions, X-Blades Racing! What a scrap this is going to be. Really going to find out now who can race it in these conditions. It's dark, it's cold, it's not California, Corey Ibanez, but Soren, who's made a big impact on their team. He quite likes it, as I would imagine he would do from where he's used to flying. But here it is. Can Quad Force 1 get it done? 7 is the lucky number, says Evan Turner. They met 6 times in our 10 races of 2018, and they lost all of those finals to X-Blades. Quad Force 1 did pick up a win. That was on our second race at the Lavenza's Bullring in Madrid, where we raced last year. And that was a race where X-Blades had a shocker. They went out in the quarterfinals, finished 7th overall. Unusual circumstances, unusual technical issues was what brought X-Blades down there. The one time they went out so early, Quad Force 1 went on and won the whole thing. We finally got that moment. It was slightly unfortunately for Quad Force 1 on the 5th of July. They really wanted it at the first race in Madrid, the 4th. Okay, on our stage you can hear, people are ready. The first single heat of the grand final is Corey Ibanez and Heiko Schenk. And away the drones fly. And already a little bit of a clip there on what I think is the Sayat gate, and that is going wild. But towards that gate, which is now back alive, and Ibanez has a slight lead over Heiko Schenk. They'll come up across the night sky out of the halfpipe and around the incredibly yellow now Garrett-C building. And into the lead on the side of lap 2, Schenk with a .82 lead over Ibanez. So he's passed him and carries that lead away now, and it looks like it's opened up to much more of a second. That is Schenk's nighttime view here in LAAX, and it was wild going into that gate. He's made it and come out of the halfpipe alive through the Zurich Switzerland gate with no trouble, and around the second pylon, Ibanez is well out of this. Schenk is having a second, third. Well, maybe one day gonna find the crash gate. High, low, in. He's done. Our 360 camera drone is what was flying around, and if you wondered what the other drone was, it was not Corey Ibanez, as he left way too soon.
I heard that. Hey, it's just AI mode. It just needs to be calibrated.
Yeah.
Corey Ibanez's view coming out from the half pipe there, and as he completed the rest of that lap later on, heads towards the McDonald's gate. Oh, it doesn't look good, does it? You could see it coming, you were worried about it. McDonald's takes him down, like the wildcard team nearly did earlier.
We said it, those last second corrections when it comes to hitting McDonald's gate are lethal.
Yeah, you don't want to hesitate. You want to pick a line, left or right. That middle part of it. We previously raced our 2018 season. One of the locations was Rapperswil, surrounded by the beautiful Lake Zurich. It's where we did our World Championship final last year. McDonald's gate there was the first time we'd had it. Yeah, a lot of pilots hitting the middle. Single heat 2. Soren Munro Anderson and Gary Kent. So the night sky, we light it up in blue with Anderson having the better start and continuing with a 2/5 of a second lead over Kent. But Kent in the light blue there is catching him down the straight, but not as much as we've seen X-Blades do in the past. The gate is down again. Kent is down. Attaboy Soren, you heard it there on stage. Soren Anderson being told to bring that one home. Gonna practice the pylon turn again. Make sure he's absolutely completed that lap, but our chief judge has told him you can bring it in. It is taking pilots, Andre. You're seeing a lot of pilots take a second swing at the crash gate. They don't have to rush. They've been told to fly into the crash gate because they know the race is theirs, the other pilot has crashed. But why are they taking that second swing so often?
I think it's just to play it safe, lose the speed and be sure that they can secure the finisher point. I would probably in that situation do exactly the same. There is no point to risk it.
Okay, so that's pilots 3, gates 0. Gary Kent doesn't finish, obviously. Unless he's going to fly a DCL gate all the way to the finish because he's in it. That side of the halfpipe, Andre, let's explore that a little bit, and thank you for joining me here on the desk. So it is the longest halfpipe in Europe. If you are boarding it, it is 22 feet tall from, you know, the bottom of the halfpipe to the height of the walls, while that gate is just being fixed. Why are we having so much trouble? Is it because they're carrying so much speed on what is kind of the flattest, straightest section, and then there's that downhill elevation as well?
I would exactly say the same. There's so much speed they are carrying going down the hill, and of course they have to pull it a little bit up into the best possible right-hand turn, and that's what's bringing quite a few pilots today down into the gate directly, indeed. So we saw it indeed suffering 3 or 4 times. Hopefully we will get the hang of it and see.
It's tricky. Bear in mind, it is very cold. It was already cold when we started a few hours ago. It is very cold now. These gates can take a battering. They have been subjected to them. Not only the Red Bull crash gate, our DCL gates, they've been hit many times. They are going down so easily here. I think it has to be partly due to the cold. Just the material of them is obviously maybe a bit more brittle than usual.
You're bringing a very interesting topic, actually, because I cannot think but wonder that the quads will also be impacted by the temperature, especially batteries. So on that long straight, where pilots are maximizing the speed and still have to conserve a little bit of extra power to take that right-hand turn, maybe indeed the cold weather we are dealing with is impacting the way they can overcome that obstacle, like we can see just now. Yeah.
We should rename that gate the crash gate, says Kevin Turner. Maybe we just move it to the ends. Oh, Norbert is joining us on Facebook. He said, exactly the same. We see more gates go down, it's cold and the material is brittle. Well, if Norbert thinks so, then I'm confident, because he was helping out the teams last year. And Norbert, welcome. Glad to have you with us. He knows what he's talking about. So I'm talking about YouTube and Facebook. Our channels are, of course, YouTube and Facebook /Drone Champions League. You can also find us on Instagram at Drone Champions League, and on Twitter we are at Drone Champions L. I am Matt Andrews TV on all of those platforms as well. Where can we find you, Andre?
Interesting question. I go by Sir Crashshot when it comes to my FPV adventures, so be it Instagram or Facebook, I can be definitely found there.
So yeah, come and check us out. Lots of behind-the-scenes information too. And we have many races. You can catch some great races from our 2018 season on our Facebook channel. You can also not yet know where we're going. If you want to find out more about DCL, our website is dcl.aero. And don't forget to download DCL the game, our drone racing simulator, which our pro pilots actually use to learn the courses. This track is in it. Other courses from previous DCL seasons are in it. You can race around the beautiful castle of Reuter in Austria. We have other versions of a track in LAAX separate to this one that you can race too. And DCL, the game, is currently free to download. It is in early access on Steam, and you can get that on PC and Mac. So download DCL, the game. That is how our pilots qualify for the first race in each of our locations. Our teams were seeded here for the quarterfinals based on the pilots' qualifying times, their best lap times, in DCL the game. So you can download that for free on Steam. You can have a go. Maybe you can show us that your lap times would have been as good as any of our pilots. Have a go. See what you can do in it. And, as I've mentioned earlier on, but if you missed earlier on near at the start of the show, we had a draft in Cannes a month ago where the best gamers of DCL the game, the best ones in the world, had been competing for a while to improve their lap times, and the ones with the best lap times were invited to the Cannes International Games Festival, where we held a competition to impress the owners of our 7 professional drone racing teams, and every team had to pick at least one. We ended up with 21 gamers joining the 7 World Championship teams at a DCL. One of them is here today, of course, Dan, who we saw earlier on. He was racing. We'll see more of him tomorrow, as we will of all of these pilots when we do our second day's racing, which is live to you from 4 p.m. Central European time, same as today. We are, as you can tell, fixing stuff. Oh, here it comes. Right on time.
Time to race. Half past the fucker.
7:25. 7:25? Aren't we already past the last gondola? Oh, my quad just got slow.
Yeah, we will ski down.
I'm down. I'm having my drones carry me down. Like, my quad's gonna carry me down.
Okay, that's no
easy. It'll make it. I'll tell you what.
So there's the pilots trying to keep warm. And we're getting a lot of video issues from our starting blocks, so it's not just the gate that's coming alive.
What are you doing?
Who's that? Is that Corey shouting, "What are you
Did
doing?"
not negotiate something that you get if we lose? That's
I think there's a little bit of planning going on stage there. We've got a long season ahead of us, but I wouldn't count either of these teams out. So where are we at? Well, Heiko Schenk has won the first one over Corey Ibanez. Soren Anderson has raced against Gary Kent. I see in the chat people are asking how cold it is. Cold. If you check online, I think it's reporting 8 degrees. I'm not sure where that is, but I can tell you for certain, as an Englishman who is somewhat used to 8 degrees, this is not 8 degrees on top of this mountain. It might be at the bottom. It's minus something here. Alex Campbell and Brett Collis. A real scrap here, but Campbell with a weird start and in all sorts of trouble. He hasn't even made the pylons yet. Collis has done that, the I-Time gate, the Sayat gate, and the McDonald's gate already. Collis away down the half-pipe, lighting it up with his light blue drone. Through both of the DCL and all 3 of the DCL gates that are still standing, and he flies up to complete his first lap. Campbell is 8.5 seconds behind him. What went wrong for Alex Campbell out of the start? We know he had a bad start in one of his earlier races. This one is a disaster for him. He's having real trouble with the blocks and leaving them at speed. He's now nearly 10 seconds behind Brett Collis, who has got the half-pipe all to himself. Will head back up. He'll see Campbell going the other way at some point. Final turn around the pylons, which is still there in yellow against the yellow wall. And Brett swings it around, brings it home. X-Blades go 2-1 up. Campbell is in the air. As you can see, his video picture's giving him trouble. I suspect maybe that might have been his issue out of the blocks. And he had to fly more carefully than he wanted to. Little flip into the gate. Seen him do that a few times.
The slaloms down the straightaway help.
2-1, X-Blades. What's wrong here?
We have again the same situation. Exactly at the start, the quad of Alex is behaving inappropriately. It swings. It seems like he doesn't have full control. Does look like malfunction. Could it be one of those prototypes he mentioned earlier today? I would probably bet on it. Let's hope he can get it fixed and show us some more racing.
Yeah, that is unfortunate to see Alex Campbell go down like that. We know what an incredible competitor he is. I remember in particular one of our races in Madrid last year where he caught someone up like you would not believe. Simitai as well when we raced at the Great Wall of China in 2018. He was left for dead and had no business winning the race. He won. No, he didn't win it. My mistake. He came right back at the end. He was in the lead at the death, but he slammed it into the side of the crash gate. But the race he gave to even get close to being contention was phenomenal. Another legendary fight here. Evan Turner and Luke Bannister. And it is the dark blue drone of Turner leading it, Luke Bannister by half a second, but Bannister will take some of that time back here. No, he won't! Into the side of the McDonald's gate, but I think still in flying, and he's through it now, as you can see on your picture. But as he's made that, where is Turner? Not that far ahead of him at all. What happened to Turner? Bannister crashed into the McDonald's gate and recovered. Turner never got anywhere away from him. They are neck and neck as they start lap number 2. Through the I-Time gate, Turner with the line to the Sayat gate, Bannister high out of it, like he needed a fight to save it, but nevertheless, still in the race. This is his view now. Luke Turner, Evan Turner's not far ahead of him, but it's still almost half a second, and Turner is down! And Bannister hits the Zurich Switzerland gate. Bannister's goggles up, Turner is goggles up.
No, I just crashed.
No, his camera settings were all blue for the snow.
They were all blue. Why was it?
You can hear him talking about how they approach
like
nighttime
cheap
conditions, racing over snow. Wow! What a race. Andre helped me figure out two incredible competitors, and right here, it looked like we only had one.
Exactly. We saw Luke punch into McDonald's gate, but this picture of Evan is absolutely unflyable.
If he was flying with that the whole time, that is incredible work by Evan Turner. Luke Bannister managed to save it out of the McDonald's gate, but not the Zurich gate. Happy faces on the side of Quad Force 1. You'd think they'd won that point, but it's gone to X-Blades because Luke Bannister got further. Alex's drone is, I believe, still being recovered. Meanwhile, we're in this position. Ooh, we've been here. I'm pleased to see, for a start, Quad Force 1 enjoying themselves so much on stage because they are 3-1 down. And the team who are racing against them, it's the one who always beat them. 6 times in 2018. X-Blades Racing step onto the top of our winners' podium. And to their right, in second place, is Quad Force 1.
Look at top left.
So what they're doing right now on stage, you see, is they're pointing at the FPV view in front of them. They've got a screen that they can all see, which is showing, as we have here on the commentary desk, showing the views of all 8 cameras from the 8 racing drones right now. And some of them are rough. And we're used to rough pictures here at the DCL. We do race in incredible places like 150 meters underground in Salina Terda, a Romanian salt mine. We race in challenging places. We bring you live television, live streams, and live drone racing from incredible locations that, frankly, were not designed for all of those things. The pictures that they're going to race with here in these conditions, the settings that they've chose, as you can see.
I do not have my video.
I can hear Brett saying he doesn't have his video. I can see your video, Brett. Put your goggles on. There's definitely video there.
That's dodgy, that's bad. We know, yeah.
It's an incredible achievement by these pilots to fly in these conditions, and with the pictures that they're getting, this is going to be a truly epic final race today.
This would be a good challenge, right?
It's good to see, as I say, so relaxed.
We're still
I'm saying we can try it. I'm gonna flash the beta plane and try to figure out.
Now we have a little bit of drama building on our stage. Can you see why that might be? Armando Josef Halagos wins. You're going to find out right now as we'll go to our chief judge, Lucas Baumann. But well done, Amanda. You're the first to notice.
Single heat number 1, pilot 8 from X-Blades Racing is disqualified. His quad went over the allowed power limit. So the score right now is 2-both.
It is 2 points all between X-Blades Racing and Quad Force 1 because Heiko Schenk there on your screen has been found to have used too much power in single heat number 1 where he beat Corey Ibanez. It was 3-1. It is now 2-all.
What?
You can hear our pilots on stage realizing, Corey, you've just been given your heat point. So we have a power limit for our drones. The pilots this year can use various different batteries, but the limit of power has been set, and it is reviewed through logs, and we find that Heiko Schenk has used too much power. He's been disqualified from single heat 1. He can still race in the big heat,
It's gonna happen again.
but he's been disqualified in single heat 1. Corey gets that heat point. It's 2-all. Right now, the two best teams in the world from 2018, the reigning world champions of X-Blades, and the team who are runners-up to them, not only at the final, but 6 times in the season. They are about to race a big heat, and the winner wins the day. I see people asking in the chat. Yes, we measured it through logs that we obtained from the drones. We measure the peak power that is used. There is a limit. They've passed it. It was 3-1. It's now 2-all.
All pilots ready? Yes.
Good luck, boys.
7, 6, 5, 4.
So, the big heats. We fly in the LAAX sky, looking to see who's going to win the first race of the 2019 season. And up front it is dark blue, and it is Quad Force 1. X-Blades racer cluster around him. Heiko Schenk, who had power issues and got that DQ, is already down. But it looks like he watches Bannister and Collis take the lead for his team. He watches on and says nothing he can do now. And Bannister may have crashed. Is it X-Blades who are going to take the day? Is it Quad Force 1 who are going to win it? We are on lap number 2 through the McDonald's gate and heading down the halfpipe with a dark blue drone looking like it is lost and doesn't know how to find its way home. Coming out through that TCL gate with drones everywhere. Heading up right and coming round the pylons. The win, the point, it goes to Brett Collis and X-Blades Racing. Actually, he's not home. Is he in the crash gate? He's still trying to fly it out. Right now, here in LAAX, has Brett Collis brought that home? We need to get that absolutely confirmed as whether Brett Collis has taken X-Blades Racing to the top again. Absolutely unbelievable race for the final one of the day. And it is confirmed that Brett Collis won the big heat. And X-Blades Racing are the champions of the first race of the 2019 season. Congratulations to X-Blades Racing. Commiserations to Quad Force 1 who fall to them again. There's so much respect between these teams. They know each other so well. Oh my gosh, it's happened again, but so close. And yet it is again X-Blades Day.
Good job, man. This is a boy right here. Boy wonder, man. He's been sick all day. He's been in fucking bringing it. Yes. Good job, man.
I'm sorry, but it's Gary, okay?
I thought we were colliding. Because I saw him and then I saw me. You can't see. Bro, you should see. You should see. He was out there. Heiko! Yeah.
Here on our stage, we have our first champions of the 2019 season. Oh, we've been here before. It's X-Blades Racing. Congratulations, guys. Oh my gosh, what a final. We've seen it again and again against Quad Force 1. We've beaten them again. Gary, congratulations. We get a big load of points today. And if this is anything like last year's season, you know it needs to get them every single time.
Yeah, consistency is the key with this racing league. Yeah, we just got to keep picking up points and just doing the best we can and see what happens at the end of the season.
I remember you talking about consistencies during 2018 as well, and that's how you got there. But it did go all the way to our final race of the season. Heiko, I must ask you, after your DQ in that first single heat, for power reasons, you didn't crash out at the big heat, and we saw you on stage looking on. How were you feeling right then, watching your teammates, knowing you couldn't help them anymore?
When I got DQ'd, I thought I did hit the McDonald's gate, and the drone spin up, and I think that must be the reason because. But I'm not sure. I have to check the logs.
But in the big heat, after you'd crashed in the big heat and the race is still continuing and you're watching your teammates knowing they have to win this now without you, we saw you, goggles up, looking on like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? How are you feeling right then?
Yeah, obviously you just switch to the spectator position and you just want to see, and your fever with your team and just want to see what happens. So that's what I did.
I will also just come to you, Brett. I will just come across here because, Brett, we're going to get that moment again that we enjoyed so much in the 2018 season. Or are we? We saw the Brett pose a few times. Is that going to make an appearance this year?
Maybe. I think in that one I was too scared after I missed the crash gate the first time. Bit of a heart attack there, but it worked out fine in the end, so that's the main thing.
It was pretty close. We've got our champions of our first race of our incredible world tour, that is Drone Champions League. X-Blades again. Ladies and gentlemen, stand by. As you can see then on our first race of the incredible Drone Champions League 2019, X-Blades Racing pick up maximum points today. 250 in Quad Force 1, 220 to them. The McDonald's Wildcard team are given third place after they clocked up more finisher points than Veloce, which means they have 200 points for our entire season and will be featuring, well, on the leaderboard for the rest of the year. Veloce Racing's fourth place gets them 150. And out of the teams who left in the quarterfinals, it is Apex Racing picking up 80 points after having collected more finisher points than all the other teams who fell in the quarters. China Dragons, Drone Sports Global, DMM Raiden Racing will leave our first day with no points here. But we do it all again tomorrow, live to you, 4 p.m. Central European Time. That is when we will see the next stage of this season. Those are the points from today, which of course are also the points for the season to date. Can X-Blades pick up another 250 tomorrow? Can Quad Force 1 turn it around and get the big W over them? Maybe the wildcard team will continue upsetting the big professional teams by showing that those pilots, some of whom we know well, can take down big names. Can they go all the way? Well, let us know with your thoughts of the Drone Champions League. You can find us on Twitter at DroneChampionsL. Would love to know what you think is going to happen on the second day of racing here. You can also find us Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram /Drone Champions League. Do make sure you join us. If you can't make it to the top of this cold mountain, we'll see you on YouTube and Facebook tomorrow. From LAAX, we're still live and cold, and it is time to crown our best teams of the day. So congratulations to our teams. In third place, we welcome to the stage the McDonald's Wildcard team. Congratulations, Yannick Lauser, Moritz Raffelli, Michael Isler, and Raphael Strahl. And to present their prize, we welcome the CEO of the Drone Champions League, Herbert Weirater. Ladies and gentlemen, third place and seemingly vlogging the whole thing, the McDonald's Wildcard team. Michael Isler capturing that for posterity. And why not? But I know you won't forget this moment. Our runners-up of our incredible racing evening here in LAAX, we welcome Quad Force 1. Corey Ibanez, Evan Turner, Alex Campbell, and Soren Anderson. Runners-up after an incredible day's racing to present their prize, Joachim Geiger, the Director of Marketing for the LAAX Group. Runners-up and happy with it, Quad Force 1! And the champions of today, the first of our World Tour of the World Championship Professional Drone Racing Teams. They've already won it twice, and this is the right step to win it again. Welcome, champions for today, X-Blades Racing! Brett Collis, Gary Kent, Luke Bannister, and Heiko Schenk win the day. With their team manager, Dominic Rock, there. We present them with their first place prize with Reto Gertner, the president of the Weiser Arena Group. Ladies and gentlemen, the big W of the day, it is X-Blades Racing! And as we've been here before, this may be where Brett gets wet as usual, but it might freeze the moment it touches him too. Little look of fear, and he could use that trophy as a shield. We all know what's coming next. It is X-Blades Racing's day! Brett looks like he's moving to the front as though he wants to get soaked, as he did so many times last year. I think he's slightly disappointed not to get a face full, as he did many times. The McDonald's wildcard team toast their incredible results, and Quad Force 1 will come back fighting, swinging and flying, as we know they always will. An amazing day's racing. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you to everybody who's been here on the mountain with us until the cold and dark hours that we are in now. And to all of you who joined us on YouTube and Facebook, go get your drones, go and do some flying. I know there's many people in the chat who are inspired to get in the air right now. I'm glad we've made you feel that way. Get up there, go and enjoy yourselves. Also download DCL the game, and maybe you could join us next year. And join us tomorrow, 4 p.m. Central European Time. We will be live to you again from this beautiful mountain in LAAX in Switzerland for the next set of racing. Different quarterfinals, maybe a different winner. Can that team on your screen do it all? It is not out of the question. I'm so excited to see what happens with them tomorrow and the other teams who make up the Drone Champions League. Thank you for joining us. I've been Matt Andrews. Thanks to Andre Krasny for joining me here on the desk as well. We are the Drone Champions League, the World Championship professional teams. Join us tomorrow, 4 p.m. Central European Time. You thought this was good. Tomorrow will be even better. But from all of us here, good night from the DCL.